Chapter 470. At this moment, the true dragon geniuses were also shocked. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they would not provoke Lin Xian again. However, not everyone thought this way. Xia Yijian stared at Lin Xian with a terrifying battle intent in his eyes. As a swordsman, he would sooner or later fight with Lin Xian. Moreover, he believed that although Lin Xian's attack power was terrifying, he would not be able to dodge his fast sword. After defeating Shuiren, Lin Xian's true dragon qi became even more powerful. It was already close to 6 feet. With this true dragon qi, Lin Xian found that the speed at which he absorbed the black dragon flame had also increased. Returning to the resting area, Lin Xian quickly absorbed the black dragon flame. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the early stage of the spirit transformation realm and would soon reach the middle stage. If this kind of cultivation speed were to spread, it would definitely scare a lot of people to death. However, the reason why he was able to improve so quickly was mainly because of the black dragon flame. The energy contained in the black dragon flame was too terrifying. It had to be known that it had once tortured a venerable for nearly 100 years. Lin Xian had been absorbing for so long, but he had only absorbed about 1/5 of it. In the battle with Shuiren, Lin Xian had shocked the majority of the people, so no one dared to challenge him during this time. He was also happy to do so. While cultivating, he also tasted the fusion of concepts and the power of thunder and fire. However, the fusion of concepts was more difficult than he had imagined. On the other hand, the fusion of thunder and fire was almost complete. At the same time, during this time, he had been comprehending the divine sword visualization diagram, so his sword intent had also increased. Although he had not yet broken through to the 8th layer, he had made a lot of progress compared to before. Just as Lin Xian continued to cultivate, Xia Yijian went on stage. He first challenged the 30th ranked martial artist. In the end, his opponent was defeated without seeing his sword move. Then, Xia Yijian looked at Lin Xian. The battle intent in his eyes continued to rise. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect that Xia Yijian would also challenge Lin Xian. Compared to Shuiren's crazy fighting style, Xia Yijian's fast sword was even more shocking. This was because no one had been able to clearly see the trajectory of his sword. It was too fast, so fast that by the time everyone reacted, the battle was already over. I think this Xia Yijian might be able to defeat Lin Xian. After all, no one can dodge his fast sword. That's right. Even the 30th ranked warrior couldn't withstand his swift sword. Not necessarily. I think Lin Xian is more dangerous. Don't forget about his terrifying sword intent. Once it is unleashed, it can destroy everything. Everyone had different opinions, but it was clear that they were all looking forward to this match. Lin Xian gladly accepted Xia Yijian's challenge. As a swordsman, he wanted to fight with all kinds of swordsmen. Moreover, Xia Yijian was known as the king of fast swords, which aroused his great interest. Lin Xian did not have full confidence that he could block Xia Yijian's swift sword. After all, watching and experiencing were two different things. Only when they truly fought would they know. Xia Yijian was exceptionally decisive, immediately using the rapid sword-drawing technique. Xia Yijian sheathed his sword, as if he had never moved. Lin Xian stood there with a smile, not moving at all. However, a deep sword mark appeared under his feet. What's going on? What happened just now? Everyone was surprised, unable to understand. The sword mark on the ground indicated that Xia Yijian had already made his move, but why was Lin Xian not injured? The sword mark was very deep and terrifying. It was impossible for Lin Xian not to resist. However, the two clearly did not move. Most people didn't understand, but those who were ranked at the top frowned. As peerless geniuses, they could naturally see what had happened just now. In that instant, both of them moved. It was just that their speed was too fast. Xia Yijian used the rapid sword-drawing technique and sheathed his sword. As for Lin Xian, he quickly turned his body, dodging the sword qi, and then quickly returned to his original position. Because the two's speed was extremely fast, it looked as if they had not moved at all. When everyone found out, they were so shocked that their jaws dropped. The two's speed was too shocking, actually deceiving everyone's eyes. Fortunately, both of them were monstrous geniuses. If it was another ordinary spirit transformation realm martial artist, they would have been instantly killed. To be able to dodge my sword-drawing technique, interesting. Xie Jian's eyes flashed. However, it won't be so easy to dodge next. He grabbed the long sword at his waist again. Lin Xian also held the Star Extinction Sword, ready to attack. The sword light flashed, and the terrifying sword chi instantly arrived in front of him. So fast, Lin Xian's pupil shrank. The speed of this sword was several times faster than before. He used the Phantom Demon steps and quickly dodged. However, the sword chi still cut through more than half of his body defense. Everyone below the stage was shocked. Such a fast sword. Lin Xian's defense was actually broken, as expected of the king of fast swords. Zhao Shui's face was filled with worry. Even with her powerful soul force, she was unable to completely lock onto the sword chi. Presumably, Lin Xian was the same. Stinking brat, nothing must happen to you. Zhao Shui prayed in her heart. The Xie family disciple smiled. Lin Xian was very strong, but against Xie Jian, his chances of winning were not high. To be able to dodge again, it seems like your strength is really strong. However, you definitely won't be able to dodge the next sword. Xie Jian was very confident. Fast concept. In the next moment, the sword light flashed. This sword seemed to cross the limit of distance, and the sword chi instantly arrived in front of Lin Xian. It's actually a concept. Lin Xian was shocked. No wonder Xie Jian's speed was so fast. He actually comprehended the fast concept. Thinking of this, he quickly used the wind concept, causing the surrounding air to quickly move. The blue air trembled, forming a great resistance. Xie Jian's sword chi, under the effect of the wind concept, revealed its true body. What? This is also possible. Everyone was shocked. This was the first time they saw Xie Jian's sword chi. The sword chi paused for a moment, then cut through the air resistance. This only happened in an instant, but it was enough time. Lin Xian used his extreme footwork, arriving at a safe place. Then, he breathed a sigh of relief. He was right. No matter how fast the sword chi was, it still needed to move in the air. As long as the air resistance increased, it could slow down the speed of the sword chi. Therefore, to defeat Xie Jian, it was not necessary to be faster than him, but only to slow down the speed of the sword chi. What a strong resistance! Xie Jian's face sank. Then he sneered, "Don't think that you can block my sword chi like this." Sword burst. Xie Jian once again pulled out his sword. This time, in addition to the terrifying speed, it also carried a berserk power. Wherever it passed, the air exploded like a sudden clap of thunder. Lin Xian's wind concept was affected, becoming extremely unstable, causing his influence on the sword chi to weaken to the extreme. Lin Xian once again felt the danger of the sword chi. Fortunately, his illusory demonic steps was very powerful, allowing him to narrowly avoid the sword chi. However, this was not a solution. After a long time, he was likely to be hit again. Let's try the wind and thunder concept. Chapter 471. Lin Xian displayed the concept of wind around his body, and then superimposed the concept of thunder on top of it. Although the two concepts could not completely fuse, the power was much stronger than the concept of wind alone. Superimposing concepts, this kid really dares to think. Xiao Yaosheng exclaimed. One had to know that concepts were extremely mysterious. Most people could not comprehend them, let alone superimposing them. Therefore, when everyone saw Lin Xian superimposing the two concepts of wind and thunder together, they were very shocked. Even the four great prodigies showed a dignified expression. The concept of wind and thunder appeared, once again slowing down the speed of the fast sword. Taking this opportunity, Lin Xian began to counterattack. However, the concept of speed could not only be used on sword techniques, but also on movement techniques. Therefore, Xie Jian's movement technique was equally terrifying. When Lin Xian swung his long sword, he had already arrived at another place. In the world of martial arts, only speed is invincible. Therefore, you cannot defeat me. Xie Jian was very confident. As long as he attacked a few more times, he would be able to cut apart Lin Xian's concept of wind and thunder. At that time, he would win. The concept of speed. What a terrifying concept. This kind of speed already allows Xie Jian to stand in an invincible position. Looks like this time Lin Xian is really going to lose. There is no other way. In the world of martial arts, only speed is invincible. Not to mention Lin Xian, even the top 20 martial artists may not be able to break Xie Jian's concept of speed. Unless he is like the four great prodigies, crushing him with absolute strength. Am I going to lose? Lin Xian frowned. To tell the truth, Xie Jian's speed really gave him a lot of trouble. His concept of wind and thunder was not mature enough. If it reached 60 to 70%, it would be easy to defeat Xie Jian. But now, it seemed that he could not rely on the power of wind and thunder. He needed to find another way. Let's end this. On the opposite side, Xie Jian's aura surged. It seemed that he was going to use some kind of consummate skill. Looks like I can only use that move. Lin Xian clenched the Star Extinction Sword. Facing Xie Jian's concept of speed, Lin Xian decided to use his trump card once again. Flying Star. It's useless. No matter what you do, you can't keep up with my speed. Xie Jian was very confident. However, in the next moment, his pupils suddenly shrank. This was because he saw Lin Xian becoming one with his sword and transforming into a dazzling sword chi that shot towards him like a resplendent meteor. That speed was even faster than his swiftness concept. This is impossible. Xie Jian was horrified. He used his concept of speed and dodged to the side. Two streaks of light flashed in the arena before disappearing like shooting stars. Everyone opened their eyes wide and craned their necks to look at the arena. On the stage, Lin Xian gripped his sword with both hands. His face was pale, and there was blood dripping from the edge of his sword. Could it be that Xie Jian is injured? Everyone looked to the other side. Sure enough, there was a sword mark on Xie Jian's left arm, almost breaking his arm. What kind of sword technique is this? He was actually able to injure Xie Jian, who possesses the concept of speed. Lin Xian is too terrifying. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I absolutely cannot challenge him. Xie Jian covered the wound on his left arm. His heart was in turmoil. Ever since he comprehended the concept of speed, he had never been defeated. This time, he challenged Lin Xian because he wanted to destroy his opponent's limelight and win the title of #1 swordsman of the younger generation. However, he never thought that Lin Xian would have such a unique skill. His speed even surpassed his own. Who the hell is this guy? His sword technique is so powerful. Xie Jian's gaze was uncertain. Lin Xian once again used his powerful sword technique to prove his strength. This time, even Zhou Jianying of the four great prodigies looked at Lin Xian twice. Your sword technique is not bad, but your cultivation is too weak. Maybe you can enter the top 10 next time. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect this prodigy to give such a high evaluation. Then, everyone had a general understanding of Lin Xian's strength. Thinking about it, this year's Lin Xian's strength was at most between 10th and 20th place. This was already very terrifying. One had to know that this was Lin Xian's first time participating. Moreover, he was only 18 years old. This talent could be said to be second only to the four great prodigies. Enter the top 10 next time. Lin Xian smiled indifferently. With his current strength, he could only enter the top 10 next time. However, he still had the powerful 70% sword intent as a trump card. Moreover, his strength was increasing every moment. To be honest, as he absorbed more and more energy from the black dragon flame, he did not know how strong he would become. However, one thing he was sure of was that he would at least enter the ranks of the five great prodigies. The following matches were somewhat boring. The challengers did not take any risks. Instead, they chose opponents that they were confident in. Just as the matches were in progress, the five great prodigies above the ancient city once again received news of Lin Xian's identity. A martial artist in the spirit-detecting realm said respectfully, "Great prodigy, Lin Xian's birthplace has been investigated." "Oh? Speak." "He comes from a small country at the border, the Great Xia country." "The Great Xia country? Wasn't it already occupied by the Black Dragon sect?" Venerable Scarlet Flame frowned. "It seems that this Lin Xian is most likely a spy sent by the Black Dragon sect. According to our intelligence, Lin Xian seemed to have been chased by people from the Black Dragon sect. As for what happened after that, and whether or not he joined the Black Dragon sect, it is still unknown. However, I heard that he had a conflict with the Black Dragon sect's Black Heart Hall when he was in the Tianshan country. Moreover, he also attacked the Crimson Black clan. The 5 great prodigies were silent. The current evidence showed that Lin Xian was very likely a spy from the Black Dragon sect. What are you waiting for? Quickly capture him and send him to torture. Venerable Scarlet Flame said. What do you think? Venerable Green Lotus asked. To be honest, I don't believe that Lin Xian is a spy. After all, someone who can comprehend that kind of sword intent would not submit to the Black Dragon sword, Venerable Sword said. Moreover, Lin Xian has had many conflicts with the Black Dragon sect. He shouldn't be a spy from the Black Dragon sect. How about this? Wait until the 3rd round, Venerable Green Lotus said. To be honest, Lin Xian's talent was shocking. If there were no accidents, he could become another sword genius. If such a person could be used by the Martial League, there might be another great prodigy in the future. Therefore, Venerable Sword and Venerable Green Lotus did not want to make a move unless there was no other choice. Below, Lin Xian did not know that danger was getting closer and closer to him. It was now his turn to challenge, so he stood up and walked to the stage. In his first challenge, he won consecutively and reached the 19th rank. In his first challenge, he entered the top 20. His strength was too strong. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian was one of the new geniuses who entered the top 20. If there were no accidents, his ranking would be stable in the top 20. Lei Jin snorted and looked at Lin Xian with killing intent in his eyes. He would not allow Lin Xian to enter the top 20. Even if Lin Xian entered, he would beat him back. The challenges continued. Soon, there were martial artists who issued challenges to the 5 great prodigies. The challenger was the 13th ranked martial artist. He challenged the 8th ranked Ice Spirit. Chapter 472. The two went up the stage and greeted each other. The 13th warrior was a disciple of the Heavenly Fire sect. Although he wasn't as strong as the Heavenly Fire Crown Prince, he was still a top genius. On his body, there were flame patterns floating and jumping, emitting a mysterious and scorching power. Bing Ling was a peerless genius of the Ice Crystal Valley. She wore a blue dress and her black hair was slightly curly. Her fair face was cold. Around her, there were ice crystal ripples and snowflakes dancing in the air. On the ground, ice began to form and spread rapidly. In an instant, the area within 100 feet turned into a world of ice and snow. Humph! The Heavenly Fire sect disciple snorted and shot out several fiery light pillars. At the same time, he waved his hands, forming a wave-like palm wind that turned into a sea of fire. Bing Ling waved her ice staff and spun it rapidly. The sky was filled with ice and snow, as if it was going to freeze one's soul. Ice and fire, 2 opposite attributes, collided in the arena, emitting a violent aura. Everyone was shocked and retreated. The 2 forces were too powerful, and the impact of their collision was even more terrifying. The ice crystal flames had spread to the edge of the arena. How terrifying! As expected of a top genius. Lin Xian looked up and saw the flames around the Heavenly Fire sect disciple being frozen, forming flaming ice crystals. Endless cold air surged towards him. As expected of one of the 5 elites. This kind of ice is too shocking. It can even freeze flames. I'm afraid that in terms of attributes, only the Heavenly Fire Crown Prince can restrain her. The Heavenly Fire sect disciple's face was gloomy. He circulated his spiritual energy and 2 fire dragons appeared behind him, intertwining to form a mysterious pattern. That's the fire dragon pattern, everyone exclaimed. Legend has it that the fire dragon pattern can burn everything. Suppress. The Heavenly Fire sect disciple shouted coldly as the fire dragon pattern behind him rapidly expanded to cover the area in front of him. Traces of scorching flames spewed out from the dragon's head and surged towards the ice crystals below. Soon, the ice sculptures melted as if they would crack at any moment. Ice ceiling throne, a cold voice sounded. As the ice staff danced, a blue figure appeared behind her, sitting on a throne. The figure was abnormally tall and emitted an extremely cold aura, as if it could freeze everything in the world. The blue figure waved his hand, and a blue aura crashed into the fire dragon pattern in the sky. The iceberg and the sea of fire collided fiercely in the void, as if a huge explosion had occurred. In the end, it was the ice spirit who used her powerful cultivation to forcibly seal the fire dragon diagram. The fierce battle ended just like that. The ice spirit sealed the fire dragon diagram with her powerful ice power. The heavenly fire sect disciple did not dare continue fighting and could only surrender. After that, a few more martial artists challenged the 5 heroes. Xiao Yaosheng held a folding fan in his hand as his figure fluttered in the air. He was exceptionally confident as he defeated his opponent while talking and laughing. Lei Zhen's body was covered with lightning and was incomparably violent. Anyone who fought with him was unable to get close to him. No one could block Yu Yan's illusionary arts. Han Fei was even more terrifying. No one could resist his saber light. The challenges continued. Soon, Xiao Yaosheng went up. His opponent was Lei Zhen. The two of them exchanged blows. The momentum was terrifying, and lightning filled the sky. Xiao Yaosheng leisurely strolled in the sea of lightning, his fan shadows surging. The two of them first competed with their moves, and then it was a battle of wills. Their terrifying and wonderful methods made people gasp in admiration. In the end, it was still Lei Zhen who won slightly and defeated Xiao Yaosheng. Then, the ice spirit also challenged Han Fei. Terrifying saber and tint soared into the sky. Han Fei attacked with all his might, striking out saber shadows that filled the sky. The ice spirit waved her staff, striking out icebergs that rushed into the sky. The void trembled as the dark blue mountain shadow in the sky charged forward. The two spiritual forces collided, and violent energy overflowed as if it was going to tear the void apart. Space-splitting cross-slash. Han Fei waved his saber, and two huge cross-shaped saber beams formed in the air, quickly rushing towards the ice spirit. Everywhere they passed, everything was shattered. Phoenix danced 9 heavens. The ice spirit's staff spun, forming a huge ice phoenix around her that flew into the sky. The saber beams and the ice phoenix collided, and the sky fell into an energy vortex. Some of the martial artists who were close to them were affected, bleeding from their mouths and noses as they fell to the ground. The other martial artists were horrified as they frantically retreated, fearing that they would be affected. Lin Xian's figure fluttered, and at the same time, 2 sword chi rushed out of his body, shattering the violent energy that rushed towards him. As expected of the 5 heroes, they are indeed powerful. He sighed. With his strength, he would probably need to go all out to compete with these people. When everything calmed down, the crowd looked at the arena. In the arena, Han Fei stood with a saber, and there was a thick layer of ice on his body. On the opposite side, the ice spirit's breasts rose and fell rapidly, and her forehead was covered with a layer of sweat. On her shoulder, a very thin saber mark appeared. Drops of round blood beads flowed out. The ice spirit smiled bitterly. She knew that Han Fei had shown mercy just now. I admit defeat. She shook her head. Your ice power is very strong. I'm afraid it will only take a few years for you to freeze me. Han Fei put away his long saber. He was also shocked. If it weren't for his strong saber intent, he would have been frozen just now. The battle between the two was very exciting. While the crowd was still reminiscing, Lei Zhen had already come to the arena. In an instant, half of the arena was covered by a sea of thunder. Lin Xian, come up and die. Lei Zhen's voice was loud and clear, like the roar of the thunder god. What? He wants to challenge Lin Xian? The crowd was shocked. This was the first time that a high-level martial artist had challenged a low-level martial artist, and the gap between their ranks was very large. The crowd was excited. Lei Zhen must be avenging Shang Wanhao. I'm afraid Lin Xian is unlucky. Lei Zhen is very strong. Isn't it better to get rid of an opponent? Many people sneered. They couldn't beat Lin Xian, so they naturally hoped that someone could defeat him. But Zhao Shui, Dongfang Xiong, and the others were worried. Although Lin Xian was strong, it was still too difficult for him to defeat Lei Zhen. If it was the next competition, with Lin Xian's talent, there would be some hope. Lin Xian's expression was cold. Lei Zhen was definitely a terrifying opponent. He slightly sensed the spiritual power in his body and found that he would soon reach the middle stage of the spirit transformation realm. Well, let's see how strong the 5 heroes are. Lin Xian clenched the black scabbard and walked into the arena. How many moves do you think Lin Xian can withstand? Don't be silly. He will definitely admit defeat as soon as he comes up. One had to know that with his results, he could definitely enter the top 20. If he was injured by Lei Zhan, his strength would be damaged and his ranking would drop greatly. The crowd discussed and thought that Lin Xian would admit defeat immediately. Lei Zhan's voice was cold when he saw Lin Xian walk up. I won't give you the chance to admit defeat. Then, a pair of 100-meter-long lightning wings appeared behind him, and he disappeared in a flash. Lin Xian quickly retreated. He would not admit defeat. What? He didn't admit defeat? The crowd was shocked. Is Lin Xian really going to fight with Lei Zhan? The wind and thunder essences overlapped and surrounded Lin Xian. At the same time, he used the illusory demon steps and created illusions in the arena. Chapter 473. Puff, puff, puff. Countless phantoms were destroyed. Lei Zhan was like a bolt of blue lightning, quickly moving around the arena. Everyone felt dizzy. Their eyes hurt from staring, but they still couldn't see the two's movements clearly. Whoosh! Lei Zhan suddenly appeared and quickly rose into the sky. High in the sky, he channeled all the spiritual energy in his body and formed countless lightning feathers. Lightning feathers. These lightning feathers were like thousands of arrows, piercing downward. The entire arena was covered by the terrifying lightning feathers. What a terrifying move. Lin Xian can't hide anymore. The audience below exclaimed. Sure enough, the sky full of lightning feathers made Lin Xian's figure appear. But in the next moment, a blinding sword light flashed and swept across the 9 heavens and 10 earths, quickly slashing out. 100-meter-long huge sword chi slashed upward. The sky full of lightning feathers forcibly cut open a huge crack. Kid, I'll let you know the true power of the lightning sect's disciples. Lei Zhan was like a thunder god, standing in the void, the lightning aura on his body crushing the surroundings. He pointed a finger, and the huge lightning turned into a flood dragon, rushing downward. Today, I'll use your lightning to improve my gold thunder body. Lin Xian roared. The star sword waved, and dozens of sword chi rushed into space. Boom, 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 boom. The lightning dragon and the terrifying sword chi collided, and the two energies burst out with extreme power. Chi. The thunder flood dragon let out a wail as it was cut in half. Lin Xian secretly channeled the devouring sword, forming a devouring power, and quickly absorbed the lightning dragon. What? Lin Xian is absorbing lightning again? He's dead. Lei Zhan will definitely be furious. Sure enough, seeing Lin Xian absorb lightning again, Lei Zhan's face became ferocious. He flapped his wings and turned into a lightning bolt, tearing the void. Lightning wings escape technique. Lightning flashed, and Lei Zhan's real body appeared behind Lin Xian. The lightning trident in his hand pierced out, and the lightning essence spread out. At this moment, the entire sky was covered by a sea of lightning. The sky shook, and the hard ground of the arena was cracked by the lightning. Clang, clang, clang. Lin Xian twisted his body and waved his absolute star sword, which collided with the lightning trident. The afterimage disappeared, and the sword chi of thunder light swept across. The two of them exchanged several moves. Lei Zhan's hair stood on end as he roared towards the sky. His aura suddenly increased greatly. His lightning trident instantly blasted Lin Xian away. Descent of the Thunder God. In the next moment, the lightning on his body surged, forming a huge lightning giant. Terrifying pressure spread out in all directions, as if it was going to tear the space apart. Lin Xian was sent flying by the lightning and slid far away. At this moment, a terrifying lightning palm descended. Boom! Lin Xian was pinned down, and the entire ground caved in. It's over. He's been caught. He definitely won't be able to escape. Looks like we can only admit defeat. Everyone sighed. Humph! You can't even withstand a single blow. Lei Zhan controlled the huge lightning giant and looked around disdainfully. He exerted force in his palm, and the lightning crazily pressed down on Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt the space around him being squeezed, as if countless giant mountains were moving, as if they were going to crush him into meat paste. Absorb for me. Lin Xian's eyes revealed a trace of madness. He quickly displayed the devouring sword and began to absorb the lightning energy. To be honest, although he was trapped, it wasn't difficult for him to get out. As long as he used 70% of his sword intent, he would be able to break the lightning palm. However, he didn't do that. He wanted to use this opportunity to absorb the lightning and evolve his body into the gold thunder body. A large amount of lightning energy entered Lin Xian's body. Soon, a trace of golden light appeared on his silver thunder body. It's almost done. Lin Xian was overjoyed. However, Lei Jun soon found out that something was wrong. He didn't expect that Lin Xian would still be thinking about his lightning in such a dangerous situation. Fury of thunder. Lei Jun was really angry. He displayed the thunder concept and condensed a thundercloud at the same time. Not good. This is the annihilation purple thunder. It's said to be able to destroy everything. The surrounding martial artists were shocked. The terrifying lightning energy fell, blasting towards Lin Xian. Under the horrified gaze of the crowd, the arena below was enveloped by the purple lightning. It's over. In this situation, Lin Xian will be seriously injured even if he doesn't die. The referee also frowned. He sensed and wanted to stop the match. However, at this moment, a loud laugh came from the sea of lightning. Haha, this is great. I didn't expect you to have such lightning energy. What other moves do you have? Use them all. Lin Xian looked up to the sky and laughed. Several terrifying wounds appeared on his body. Some parts of his body were badly mutilated. You're courting death. Lei Jun activated his spiritual energy. The purple lightning in the sky intertwined and formed the annihilation purple thunder. Since you want to die, then turn into ashes in this lightning. The huge purple lightning descended, forming a dazzling light that quickly annihilated everything. The crowd closed their eyes and frantically retreated, afraid that they would be affected by the annihilation purple thunder. After a long time, the crowd opened their eyes. The entire black gold arena was full of scars as if it had been bombed. A terrifyingly deep pit appeared where Lin Xian was, and even his figure was buried under the black rock. This is what you get for challenging the lightning sect. Lei Jun walked in the air with a cold expression. Is he dead? Why can't I see Lin Xian? F***CK. I can't sense him either. The crowd discussed animatedly as they looked at the ruins. There was no way he could stand up. Lei Jun's expression was cold. However, before he could finish speaking, a dazzling golden light shone from the ruins below. Boom! The ruins exploded, and countless black stones flew everywhere. A golden figure appeared, like a golden god of war. Golden Thunder Body has finally been formed. Lin Xian looked up to the sky and laughed. The purple lightning had indeed been a great threat to him. Fortunately, everything was over, and he had also condensed the golden lightning body. With the crystal thunder body, his defense in the spirit transformation realm was abnormal. Even if he met a spirit-detecting realm martial artist, he would be able to hold his own. Thank you for your divine thunder of annihilation. Lin Xian laughed. Lei Jun's expression became very ugly. Not only was his opponent not dead, but his strength had increased greatly. This was a slap to his face. It was a slap to the lightning sect's face. Die for me. The lightning trident stabbed out, forming two lightning lasers that shot toward Lin Xian. Try my golden thunder body. Lin Xian punched out. The golden fist rushed into the void, and the sky was filled with dazzling golden light. Boom! Lin Xian took a step back as the two bolts of lightning in the sky shattered with a loud bang. What? He broke Lei Jun's attack with his bare hands. The crowd exclaimed. Lin Xian, who was at a disadvantage a moment ago, had become so powerful. What kind of body refining technique is this? It's so terrifying. Dong Fengxiong stared at Lin Xian's golden thunder body, and his eyes shone. What a terrifying power. I'm itching again. The crowd was speechless. Only Dong Fengxiong, with his abnormal body constitution, could compete with Lin Xian. Lei Jun's eyes flashed coldly. He didn't expect Lin Xian's strength to increase so much. It seems that if I don't show you my true strength, you won't know how powerful I am. Lei Zhan's body quickly descended. Thunder transformation. The huge lightning wings spread out and wrapped around Lei Zhan's body, forming a lightning ball. Chapter 474. The situation was similar to Shangwan Hao's. However, Lei Zhan's lightning form was much more powerful than Shangwan Hao's. Lightning flashed and covered Lei Zhan's body with a layer of lightning armor. Even his head was covered. Behind him, there was a 2-meter-long tail covered with lightning thorns. It was terrifying. The lightning tail swung and immediately smashed a groove in the hard ground. After the transformation, Lei Zhan was like a lightning monster, full of explosive power. He took a step forward and rushed forward like lightning. Wherever he went, the void would be torn apart. He used the thunder essence to the extreme, and a terrifying pressure enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian slashed out with the wind and thunder essences. However, Lei Zhan's thunder essence was too powerful. Lin Xian's sword chi was cut in half. Boom! The lightning trident fell and tore the ground. Lin Xian quickly retreated with a dignified look. In that strike just now, Lei Zhan's concept of thunder had probably reached 70%. This level of thunder essence was far beyond his wind and thunder essence. It seems that I can only use the dragon sword essence. Facing Lei Zhan's thunder essence, Lin Xian held the star sword tightly. In the next moment, a ferocious and sharp sword intent erupted from his body. It's useless. Even your sword essence can't resist my thunder essence. Lei Zhan's expression was cold as he strode forward. Soon, Lin Xian's sword essence reached 50%. However, he didn't make a move. Instead, he continued to increase it. What? His sword essence increased again? How is this possible? Oh my God! Is he still holding back his sword essence? At this moment, everyone was shocked, especially the disciples of the 3 Kendo families. They looked as if they had seen a ghost. 60% sword essence. Lin Xian's eyes flashed with sword light. It wasn't enough. He activated the dragon sword essence in his body again. According to his estimation, Lei Zhan's thunder essence had reached 70%. Therefore, he also planned to activate his sword essence. With a dragon roar, the azure dragon sword chi surged out of Lin Xian's body and roared ferociously. At this moment, the weapons on the surrounding warriors all trembled. It was as if he was bowing to the center of the arena. This is 70% sword intent. Everyone was shocked and gripped their weapons tightly. 70% sword intent. Lin Xian actually possesses 70% sword intent. Is this his trump card? At this moment, Xie Jian, Shui Yiren, and the others were all shocked. With their strength, they were completely unable to contend against 70% sword intent. If Lin Xian went all out, they would not even be able to withstand a single strike. This guy is too scary. Is he really a newbie? I'm afraid he will become the second Zhou Jianying. Many people believe that as long as Lin Xian continued to grow, he would sooner or later become one of the 4 great prodigies. 70% sword intent. Yidao Lung sucked in a breath of cold air. He had originally planned to fight with Lin Xian, but now it seemed that the chances were slim. Beside him, Han Fei comforted him. Don't worry, you'll reach this level sooner or later. Even the 4 prodigies were shocked when they saw the 70% sword intent, especially Zhou Jianying, who stared at Lin Xian with her beautiful eyes. The one who was most shocked was Lei Zhan. He originally thought that he could completely crush Lin Xian with his 70% thunder essence. In this way, not only could he avenge Shangwan Haohao, but he could also promote the Thunder Sect. However, to his surprise, Lin Xian actually possessed the same level of sword intent. So what if you have 70% sword intent? If you don't know how to use it, you're still trash. Lei Zhan shouted coldly and launched a terrifying attack. Moonbreak. Lin Xian, who had displayed 70% sword intent, was unusually calm. His body was filled with sword chi, which condensed into a huge, crescent-shaped sword chi and rushed forward. This sword chi was extremely violent. Everywhere it passed, the void would shatter. Lei Zhan's attack instantly collapsed like a piece of paper. What? How can it be so powerful? Lei Zhan was shocked. He originally thought that even if Lin Xian displayed 70% sword intent, it would at most be a draw. However, Lin Xian's sword intent was so powerful that it directly shattered his attack. Was this really 70% sword intent? Let's end this. Star explosion. Lin Xian operated the dragon sword intent to the extreme. He became one with the sword and slashed out a sword light. Thunder collision. Lei Zhan gritted his teeth and formed the strongest defense in front of him. However, this sword was too amazing. It directly hit the weak part of the defense and quickly tore it apart. Then, the sword intent cracked and a shocking explosion occurred. There was an earth-shattering sound. Lei Zhan was surrounded by countless sword lights. Lin Xian withdrew the star sword and waited quietly. He was confident that this sword could definitely defeat Lei Zhan. As expected, when the sword light disappeared, Lei Zhan's battered figure appeared. The thunder armor on his body was completely shattered, and there were countless sword marks on it. One of them even cut open the skin on his abdomen and almost cut him in half. Compared to the physical injury, the most serious injury was the mental injury. As one of the 5 talents, he thought that defeating Lin Xian was just a piece of cake. However, he did not expect that Lin Xian's trump cards were all beyond his expectations. Especially the last 70% sword intent. He could not resist it. Now he realized that he had indeed underestimated this young man. The reason why he did not use his trump card at the beginning was probably because he wanted to preserve his strength and use his thunder to refine his body. Thinking of this, he felt bitter and even regretted challenging Lin Xian. You won. What? Lei Zhan admitted defeat? The disciples of the Thunder sect were all stunned, especially Shangguan Hao. His eyes were filled with horror. Ever since he started cultivating, he had made his senior brother Lei Zhan his lifelong goal. Now, his idol had been defeated, and the one who defeated his senior brother was a newcomer like him. Thinking of how he had provoked Lin Xian in the past, Shangguan Hao felt a lingering fear. If Lin Xian had used all his strength at that time, he would definitely have been killed in one strike. Is the world going to change? Finally, one of the 5 talents has fallen. The crowd went crazy. One had to know that the 4 talents and the 5 talents were recognized as the strongest in everyone's hearts. They originally thought that no one could shake their position in this year's competition and that the only change was the internal ranking. However, they did not expect Lin Xian to defeat Lei Zhan and successfully enter the 5 talents. At this moment, the way everyone looked at Lin Xian had changed. Their eyes were filled with respect. If Lin Xian was said to be a talented newcomer with limitless prospects in the past, then he had proven himself. But now, he used his strength to prove that not only was he talented, but his battle prowess was also powerful. There was no need for him to wait. He could create a record now. Defeating Lei Zhan was the best proof. This guy really made it into the 5 talents. Iron Hand was extremely shocked on the spectator stand. Lin Xian had given him too many surprises. Time and time again, he was overwhelmed by them. Before this, he thought that Lin Xian could only make it into the top 100, but now Lin Xian had become one of the 5 talents. Even the 5 supremacies in the ancient city were surprised. Chapter 475. Among them, Venerable Lord Sword looked at Lin Xian with surprise and admiration in his eyes. Not bad. He actually comprehended 70% sword intent, and it's very powerful. Although he can't compare to Jianying, he shouldn't be too far behind. I'm afraid he'll be another Sword Dao Venerable in less than 100 years. Venerable Blue Lotus nodded with a smile. There were only 13 Venerables in the entire Tianan region. Among them, Venerable Lord Long was severely injured, and her strength was greatly reduced. Normally, it would be fine. But now that the Black Dragon sect was restless and showing signs of revival, there would be a fierce battle soon. Once the Black Dragon sect counterattacked, the battle would not be over in a few years. It might last for decades or even centuries. If that was the case, the emergence of a Venerable would change the situation greatly. Therefore, these Venerables valued every genius. I think it's better to get rid of him as soon as possible. If he's a spy from the Black Dragon sect, wouldn't that increase the enemy's strength? Venerable Scarlet Flame snorted. The other Venerables were also silent. They were not 100% sure that they could prove Lin Xian's innocence. Don't worry, we'll definitely find out his true identity before the Azure Dragon Society ends. Venerable Blue Lotus said. If Lin Xian was innocent, they would definitely use the best resources to nurture him. If Lin Xian was really a spy from the Black Dragon sect, they would definitely kill him with all their might. Lin Xian absorbed Lei Jin's true dragon qi, and the true dragon qi in his body reached more than 60 feet. At that moment, the great dragon sword intent in his body seemed to be summoned. Lin Xian was shocked. He did feel a calling from afar. Great dragon sword. He was overjoyed. It seemed that his true dragon qi could already form a connection with the great dragon sword. Not enough. Lin Xian clenched his fist. He still needed to continue absorbing the true dragon qi. If he could become one of the 4 prodigies, he might be able to sense it clearly. However, he did not act rashly. With his current strength, it was impossible for him to become a prodigy. He had to wait until he broke through to the mid-stage of the spirit transformation stage. With a satisfied smile, Lin Xian stepped down from the stage. Then, Yu Yin appeared. Previously, in the first stage, he had fought with the Prince of Heavenly Flame and was sent flying with a single move. Therefore, he didn't plan to challenge the 4 heavenly talents anymore. Instead, he set his eyes on Han Fei. If he could defeat Han Fei, he would become the first of the 5 heroes. At the same time, he was also the strongest person below the 4 great geniuses. This kind of honor was also extremely great. Thinking of this, he challenged Han Fei. As his voice fell, the surrounding cultivators were shocked. Han Fei and Yu Yin were ranked next to each other, and their strength was about the same. This battle must be very exciting. Looks like Yu Yin has already given up on challenging the geniuses. So what? It's not just him. I'm afraid that even the 5 heroes don't have the strength to fight against the geniuses. The crowd was not surprised. Although the 5 geniuses were strong, there was still a big gap between them and the 4 geniuses. Han Fei was not surprised by Yu Yan's challenge. With a sway of his body, he transformed into a saber light and flashed onto the ring. In the distance, a silver moon rose behind Yu Yin. It carried a terrifying aura as it floated in the void. Wherever the moonlight passed, the air was distorted, as if some inexplicable change had taken place. It's an illusion. This is illusory moon ascension. Everyone exclaimed. This was a large-scale illusion. Wherever the moonlight shrouded, it would be an illusion. Void slash. On the other side, Han Fei unsheathed his saber, and a resplendent saber light streaked across the sky. Wherever the saber light passed, the silver moonlight was torn apart, flying to the sides like a veil. What a terrifying saber intent! It can even tear apart an illusion. Lin Xian was surprised. He could feel that Han Fei's saber intent was not weaker than his sword intent. The saber streaked across the sky and quickly slashed towards Yu Yin. Soon, the silver moonlight around Yu Yin was completely torn apart. Humph! He snorted coldly, and the illusory moon intent rose. Han Fei had rich combat strength and would not fight with Yu Yin at all. The other party was an illusion martial artist, so he had to end the battle quickly. Otherwise, he would fall for it if he was not careful. Therefore, Han Fei did not hold back from the beginning. Streaks of resplendent saber light shattered the void and quickly slashed towards Yu Yin. Crack! Crack! The saber fell, and the hard ground split open, forming terrifying cracks. The cold saber intent was even more shocking, lingering in the void for a long time. Yu Yan's expression was cold. He quickly rushed towards Han Fei with the bright moon illusion. At the same time, he quickly waved his palms and struck out the falling moon palm. The sky was filled with palm shadows that carried ripples, scattering in all directions. These palm shadows looked beautiful, but they were filled with endless killing intent. Each of them carried a terrifying soul attack. If an ordinary mid-stage spirit transformation realm martial artist encountered them, their soul would probably be severely injured on the spot. Void-splitting cross-slash. Han Fei held the saber with both hands and quickly slashed out. Buzz. In the sky, a huge cross-shaped saber aura shone and rushed forward. This was one of Han Fei's ultimate skills. Previously, he had relied on this saber to defeat Bing Ling. The saber aura was dazzling like a cross of death, enveloping Yu Yin. Yu Yan's expression was solemn. He had to be careful when facing this powerful attack. The silver moon behind him rotated, and the moonlight in the sky rotated rapidly, forming a vortex that stirred up the spiritual energy in the surroundings. Suddenly, a slender hand reached out from the vortex and slapped towards the void. As soon as the slender hand appeared, the entire space immediately sank, and a huge pressure enveloped the surroundings. Everyone's faces turned pale as if they were enveloped by 100,000 mountains. So terrifying. What move is this? Moon God descends. I didn't expect Yu Yin to even use this move. Someone exclaimed. Rumor has it that when the Mirage Moon Sex cultivation technique is cultivated to the extreme, one can summon the Moon God descends. I thought it was just a legend. I didn't expect it to be true. Moon God descends? Lin Xian frowned. Was there really a god in this world? His eyes flickered as he looked at the arena. He waved his slender hand and collided with the huge, cross-shaped saber aura. Boom! A dazzling light erupted in the sky, forming a huge white energy ball that spread out in all directions. The terrifying attack was like the end of the world, making one's heart tremble. The white light retreated, and the two figures fought again. Divine Saber of Destruction. Han Fei's saber intent was astonishing, and he slashed out a terrifying saber light again. This saber almost covered more than half of the sky. The vast saber light surged in the air like a blood-colored river. Illusion Path Crescent Moonbreak. Yu Yin rose into the air and also launched his strongest attack. He fused with the silver moon behind him, releasing a hazy light. A palm, like a divine palm from outer space, pressed down. Air waves rolled, saber aura crisscrossed, and the arena was drowned again. Crack. Boom. Countless black gravel flew out, piercing the void and flying in all directions. Some martial artists were caught off guard and were sent flying by these stones while vomiting blood. Damn it, it's too terrifying. Even the gravel can hurt people. Everyone quickly retreated, feeling a lingering fear. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he stared at the arena. He knew that the result was about to come out. Chapter 476. Han Fei won. His saber intent happened to restrain Yu Yan's illusion, Sword Tao Goddess Zhou Jinying said. In the end, it's still a battle of intent. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame said coldly, if Yu Yan's illusory moon intent is strong enough, he can completely restrain him. The four geniuses spoke, and every word they said hit the nail on the head. When the storm dissipated, the figure in the arena appeared. Yu Yan's sleeve was cut off, and a long saber was placed horizontally above his head, emitting a terrifying saber intent. I admit defeat, Yu Yan said unwillingly. Thank you for letting me win. Han Fei retracted his saber and smiled indifferently. Everyone exclaimed, and the audience in the stands was in an uproar. Their cheers were like a tide, shaking the world. Yu Yan left the arena, but Han Fei didn't move. He was still standing in the arena, because this time, it was his turn to challenge. Holding the saber tightly, his eyes burst out with astonishing fighting spirit. Divine Saber Sex Han Fei challenges Zhou Jinying. Han Fei's voice was sonorous and powerful, and every word caused the void to tremble. Everyone was excited again. Han Fei was going to challenge the four geniuses. Not only that, he was going to challenge the second-ranked Sword Tao Goddess. Han Fei is the leader of the 5 heroes. He does have the strength to challenge the 4 heroes. Yes, his saber intent has reached 70%. He might have the strength to fight. Lin Xian was also excited. Han Fei's saber intent was similar to his. This battle might allow him to figure out Zhou Jinying's strength. Your saber intent is not bad. I will use the same level of sword intent to fight you. Zhou Jinying stepped on the ground like a fairy. She carried an azure sword on her back that was like a shining star. It was dreamy and illusory. However, she didn't draw her sword. Instead, she used her finger to replace the sword and pointed diagonally. What? Zhou Jinying wants to fight barehanded? Isn't she underestimating Han Fei? What do you know? I saw her attack 10 years ago. It was too stunning. It was like a divine rainbow descending into the world. No one could stop it. The more everyone talked, the more shocked they became. In the arena, Han Fei's expression was solemn. He wasn't dissatisfied with Zhou Jianying's bare-handed battle. The other party was already lucky to be able to fight with him. Take my saber, space-splitting cross-slash. As soon as he came, Han Fei used his ultimate skill. A huge cross-saber chi quickly slashed forward. Break. Zhou Jianying spat out a green lotus from her mouth and waved her jade-like fingers. A ripple-like sword chi slashed down. The sword chi looked weak, like a fleeting shadow, but when it came into contact with the huge cross-shaped sword chi, it was immediately sliced in half. What a sharp sword in tint. Lin Xian was shocked. As a swordsman, he could naturally feel the terror of this sword. Not only that, but he also found that Zhou Jianying's use of sword in tint was very delicate, which was far beyond his. For example, the sword strike just now contained a terrifying sword in tint that was hidden very deeply. However, at the moment of collision, an extremely powerful attack power erupted and destroyed everything. The utilization of this kind of sword in tint surpassed the vast majority of people. I'm afraid Zhou Jianying didn't even use half of her strength. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He realized that the four prodigies were far more terrifying than he had imagined. However, he was not upset. In terms of the use of sword in tint, he was stronger than Zhou Jianying. What he lacked now was the maturity of his sword in tint. I can only rely on the divine sword visualization painting. These days, he had comprehended the divine sword visualization painting, and his sword in tint had reached the peak of 70%. He was only a little bit away from breaking through to 80%. However, he welcomed another piece of good news. After continuing to absorb the black dragon flames, he finally reached the middle stage of the spirit transformation realm. So far, his strength had substantially improved. Now that he fought with Lei Jun again, he would probably only need 3 moves to defeat him. This was the gap between realms. Now Lin Xian's strength had increased several times compared to before. Now he should be able to challenge the 4 prodigies. Lin Xian thought to himself. With his strength and trump cards, he was already able to compete with the 4 prodigies. Moreover, he also had his greatest trump card, the Sword of Devouring. With it, Lin Xian even dared to challenge spirit-detecting realm martial artists. In a good mood, he looked at the arena. In the arena, Han Fei's first attack failed and he slashed out again. Divine Saber of Destruction. The blood-colored saber chi filled the entire sky like a blood-colored river that hung across the 9 heavens. Looking at this attack, Zhou Jianying's eyes lit up. She raised one hand and slashed up. A sword aura flew into the sky like a graceful swan. It was like a 5-colored divine pillar that connected heaven and earth. This attack directly hit the weakest part of the blood-colored saber aura. With a roar, the blood-colored saber aura shattered like a glass plate and scattered across the sky. Han Fei was very strong, but Zhou Jianying was stronger. Every attack of hers carried a terrifying sword in tint. Although her sword in tint was also 70%, it was much more powerful than Han Fei's saber in tint. After 2 defeats, the saber aura in Han Fei's eyes became even brighter. He looked up to the sky and roared. His whole body was like a divine saber that was unsheathed, extremely sharp. Take my strongest attack, saber breaking the sky. The huge saber aura pierced through the sky, and the terrifying aura made the entire arena tremble. In the sky, the clouds were instantly destroyed. Endless light condensed, and then the long saber fell down. So terrifying. Retreat. The surrounding crowd was horrified and retreated crazily. Lin Xian's body flashed, and he also rushed back. At the same time, he was also slightly surprised. The power of this attack was very close to the first sword of the Gale Lightning Sword technique. The arena trembled, and a terrifying crack appeared. The saber aura shrouded Zhou Jianying. At this moment, everyone was looking at the arena. He was hit head-on. Can Han Fei win? Such a terrifying attack. Even if she's an elite, she'll probably be injured, right? Everyone was discussing and feeling bewildered. However, at this moment, a stunning sword aura bloomed from the arena, piercing through the saber aura and rushing in all directions. This sword aura was so dazzling that the saber aura in the sky lost its luster. The The sword aura slashed down, and the mighty saber aura was mercilessly torn apart. Han Fei's face turned pale. His body stiffened, and he couldn't help but take 3 steps back. A look of horror appeared in his eyes. When the saber aura disappeared, Zhou Jianying's beautiful figure appeared. She was dressed in green and pointed her sword at the sky. Although she was a girl, she had an indescribable sharpness. It was as if everything in front of her had become fragile. This was the demeanor of a sword Dao heavenly maiden. After 3 slashes, Han Fei had no chance of winning at all. He smiled bitterly and admitted defeat. Everyone was in an uproar and shouting. Zhou Jianying's strength was crazy. They would probably never forget the last sword attack. Lin Xian was also amazed. She was indeed a genius, especially her attainments in the sword Dao, which could be said to be terrifying. Even the last sword strike had given him some enlightenment. He immediately immersed himself in the divine sword visualization painting and quickly comprehended it. Whoosh! The little white monkey rushed out and stood on his shoulder, covering its mouth and yawning. Lin Xian was comprehending at this time, so the safety task was naturally left to it. The little monkey blinked its black, gem-like eyes and looked around curiously. On the ancient city, the 5 venerables exclaimed when they saw the little white monkey. Chapter 477. The appearance of the little white monkey shocked them. However, in the next moment, they were puzzled. Why did I feel so scared just now? What kind of monkey is this? Why do I feel like it's that legendary species? You mean that? Impossible. How can that thing exist? The venerable ones were bewildered. They confirmed it carefully, but they could no longer find the same feeling as before. They had no choice but to give up for now. The competition continued. Lin Xian was still comprehending the divine sword visualization diagram and did not pay attention to the others. However, the others were all excited, because the next contestants were all prodigies. In the arena, Yin Shan carried a huge bandage on his back and looked around with a sinister smile. Then, his gaze stopped on Lin Xian. Everyone was stunned. Was Yin Shan going to challenge Lin Xian too? No way. The 4 great prodigies would not challenge someone with a lower ranking. At this moment, Yin Shan transmitted his voice. What's going on? You want me to challenge that brat? A mysterious voice came from the bandage on his back. That brat is a little strange. I can feel the aura of the great dragon sword on him. Great dragon sword? Are you sure? Yin Shan was shocked. Try it. With your strength, you should be able to make him use his full strength easily. Hearing this, Yin Shan sneered. He turned his head slightly and stared at Lin Xian with a sinister gaze. I want to challenge him, the crowd exclaimed. Yin Shan was really going to challenge Lin Xian. This was too crazy. One had to know that the 4 great prodigies were completely ahead of everyone else. Yin Shan wanted to challenge Lin Xian. It was no doubt bullying. At this moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian. They wanted to know how Lin Xian would respond. However, Lin Xian stood there like a statue and did not react to what was happening. However, the little white monkey looked at Yin Shan and gestured. Finally, it showed a look of disdain. The surrounding martial artists were stunned. A monkey dared to look down on Yin Shan. Many people felt like their heads were about to explode. Zhao Shui and the rest were worried that Lin Xian would rush up the stage in a fit of rage. However, they finally heaved a sigh of relief, because Lin Xian did not respond. If you don't respond within the time limit, you'll be deemed to have admitted defeat, the referee said in a low voice. Soon after, Yin Shan obtained a strand of true dragon qi from Lin Xian's body. Useless guy. Yin Shan snorted coldly and ignored Lin Xian. Looks like this Lin Xian isn't stupid. I thought he would still rush forward. Are you kidding me? That's Mount Yin we're talking about. Who would dare go up there? But there seems to be something wrong with Lin Xian. What's wrong? He must be trying to play dumb to avoid the competition. Although everyone knew that Lin Xian wouldn't accept the challenge, they were still disappointed by his silence. It seemed that although Lin Xian was strong, he was still no match for the 4 heavens favorites. Even the venerables on top of the ancient city sighed. They felt that Lin Xian lacked a sense of drive. Yin Shan then challenged Prince Heavenly Flame, who was ranked ahead of him. The 2 of them exchanged blows, creating a terrifying scene. The 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram appeared behind Prince Heavenly Flame as if it could burn everything. That scorching aura made everyone's heart tremble. On the other side, Yin Shan summoned 3 ferocious puppets. Each of them had the strength of a mid-stage spirit transformation realm cultivator. The 3 puppets worked together to fight a spirit-detecting realm cultivator. As the 2 of them fought, each of their attacks could tear apart a normal spirit transformation realm cultivator. At the 103rd move, the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram released endless flames that suppressed the entire arena. Yin Shan's 3 puppets were entangled by the flaming dragon and couldn't move at all. He reached for the bandage on his back, but gave up after thinking about it. In the end, Prince Heavenly Flame won. The crowd was in an uproar and took a long time to calm down. At this moment, Lin Xian also woke up from the Divine Sword visualization diagram. The sword light in his eyes was even sharper, as if it could cut through the void. After the epiphany, he finally broke through and reached 80% sword intent. However, before he could rejoice, his body froze. He could still feel the aura of the great dragon sword, but now he couldn't feel anything. After carefully sensing with his soul power, Lin Xian found that the true dragon qi in his body had decreased by a lot. What's going on? He was stunned. As far as he knew, the true dragon qi couldn't be stolen, and it wouldn't disappear for no reason. Wu Ji, the snow-white little monkey, gestured and restored the scene just now. Suddenly, Lin Xian's face darkened. He was very surprised that Yin Shan had actually challenged him. One had to know that he didn't have much interaction with Yin Shan, and Yin Shan was one of the 4 great prodigies. It was impossible for him to challenge him for no reason, unless there was something he didn't know. However, what made him even more angry was that he was judged to have failed because he didn't respond for a long time. Thus, he lost the true dragon qi. This guy has gone too far. Lin Xian glared at Yin Shan with rage in his eyes. No matter who it was, anyone who dared to steal his true dragon qi was an enemy. 4 great prodigies? Lin Xian sneered. It's time for a change. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, Yin Shan turned around and revealed a disdainful smile. In his eyes, Lin Xian was like an ant that couldn't arouse his interest at all. If it weren't for the existence behind him challenging him, he wouldn't have bothered with Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian dared to show that kind of gaze, which made him very unhappy. Reckless. Yin Shan retracted his gaze. He had already decided that after the Azure Dragon Society was over, he would find an opportunity to make Lin Xian his puppet. Although Lin Xian didn't know Yin Shan's plan, he wouldn't let him go. He would make him spit out the true dragon qi that he had stolen in double. If it was in the past, Lin Xian probably wouldn't have been able to do it. However, not only had he entered the middle stage of the spirit transformation realm, but his sword intent had also reached 80%. It could be said that his strength had increased by several times. If he were to face Lei Jin now, he could almost kill him with a single strike. One had to know that it wasn't easy to increase one's sword intent. Moreover, with every increase in realm, one's strength would increase rapidly. Lin Xian, who had comprehended 70% sword intent, and Lin Xian, who had comprehended 80% sword intent, were 2 completely different people. He calmed himself down and continued to watch the match. Prince Heavenly Flame challenged Infinite Tyrant. Both of them were domineering and violent. Just the aura they released was unbearable for the crowd. You're not my match. That was clear 10 years ago. Infinite Tyrant was very domineering. He didn't put Prince Heavenly Flame in his eyes at all. That was 10 years ago. That might not be the case now. Prince Heavenly Flame said proudly. Now that my 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram has reached greater mastery, I'll definitely be able to suppress you this time. Suppress me? Infinite Tyrant was slightly stunned. Then, he looked up to the sky and laughed. His body released an aura that looked down on the world. Then come at me. He didn't say anything else. Instead, he waved his fists and punched forward. Instantly, the spiritual energy in the entire space was sucked dry. The bronze fist destroyed everything in front of it. Chapter 478. That punch was too terrifying. It could definitely kill anyone below the 4 great prodigies. Fire Dragon Fist. Prince Heavenly Flame wasn't afraid at all. A fire dragon behind him coiled around his right arm, forming a fire dragon armor. The fire attribute spiritual energy roared and surged forward. The two fists collided, causing the entire space to tremble. Even the spirit-detecting realm judge's pupils shrank as he looked at the arena with a solemn expression. Boom! Violent energy spread out and quickly dissipated. Too weak. Is this all you've got? Infinite Tyrant had one hand behind his back as he looked arrogant. 8 Desolation Fire Dragon. Suppress. The fire dragon diagram behind Prince Heavenly Flame shone brightly as flames soared into the sky. The entire sky was dyed red. The space distorted as if it was about to melt. 8 fire dragons roared as they circled around to suppress Infinite Tyrant. Good timing. Infinite Tyrant roared. His robe fluttered in the black wind as he looked down on the world like an overlord. Domineering fist of heavens and earth. He was like a king as he quickly punched out. A tyrannical aura surged out and enveloped the entire area. The surrounding martial artists were terrified. Their bodies trembled as they almost knelt on the ground. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He could sense that those two martial arts were Earth-grade martial arts. Their power wasn't any weaker than his Gale Lightning sword art. However, Infinite Tyrant's aura was too strong. His disregard for everything made his domineering fist of heavens and earth even more violent. Boom, boom, boom. The fire dragons and fists collided. The space was torn apart, and a terrifying black crack appeared. However, the crack quickly disappeared. Even so, the crowd was still stunned. They would never forget that scene for the rest of their lives. On the ancient city, the 5 sovereigns were even more shocked. Their attacks just now weren't any weaker than a spirit-detecting realm martial artist. In fact, they were even stronger than a normal spirit-detecting realm martial artist. At least, a normal spirit-detecting realm martial artist wouldn't be able to create a crack in space. Their strength has increased by a few times compared to 10 years ago. Sovereign Green Lotus exclaimed. I'm afraid Infinite Tyrant is still stronger. Sovereign Sword exclaimed. Jin Wudao isn't bad either. In the past, he would definitely be the number one of the younger generation. Indeed, the current 4 great geniuses would have been able to take first place in the previous Azure Dragon gatherings. However, the 4 of them were gathered together. It had to be said that this was a flourishing age. Geniuses emerged in large numbers, suppressing several generations. Look, the results are out. A paragon cried out. Everyone looked over and saw the 8 Baron Fire Dragon and the Berserk Fist colliding. The two were in a stalemate. However, in the end, it was still the hegemonic fist of heavens and earth that won, tearing the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon portrait apart. Prince Heavenly Flame groaned and took a few steps back. Was it over? Everyone was astonished. As expected, it was still Infinite Tyrant who was superior. However, the flames on the Crown Prince's body surged, making him look like a flaming god of war. This is the final move. 8 Desolation Fire Dragon, burn heaven and earth. Prince Heavenly Flame bellowed. The 8 fire dragons behind him rose into the sky and intertwined, forming an even larger fire dragon. Suddenly, the entire sky was filled with fiery red dragon bodies. The sea of fire in the sky spread and attacked into the distance. Retreat. The spirit-detecting realm referee furrowed his brows and shouted to the surrounding martial artists. What? Everyone was stunned and quickly retreated. The next moment, the huge dragon head spat out mountain-sized red dragon flames that covered the entire arena. The aura was too terrifying. Just a trace of it was enough to kill any spirit transformation realm martial artist. In an instant, Infinite Tyrant and the super arena were enveloped. The spirit-detecting realm referee rose into the sky. Chi-Chi. The fiery red dragon flames were terrifying. They melted the entire arena, and the heat wave was still spreading rapidly. Everything that came into contact with it was reduced to ashes. Everyone was terrified. Fortunately, the referee reminded them. Otherwise, they would have turned into ashes. Madman. He's really a madman. Will Infinite Tyrant be burned to death if he's hit head-on? Many people were worried. There was no way around it. The flames were too terrifying. Even a spirit-detecting realm martial artist would be finished. The sea of fire continued, and more than half of the plaza was about to collapse. At this moment, Venerable Green Lotus waved his sleeve in the ancient city. An inexplicable green chi flow fell into the sea of fire, forming a green lotus. The green lotus spun and absorbed the surrounding flames. At this moment, a terrifying fluctuation came from the arena again. A hole appeared in the sea of fire. Infinite Tyrant's body was covered in flowing light, and a golden spear appeared in his hand. Overlord's spear. The spear stabbed out, and the world lost its color. The fiery dragon in the sky was pierced, and it let out a wail before quickly dissipating. Infinite Tyrant withdrew his spear and looked at the heavenly flame crown prince. He spun his spear again. The spear light tore through the sky. The heavenly flame crown prince tried his best to resist. He merged with the 8 desolation flaming dragon diagram behind him and attacked the spear light. There was a shocking explosion, and the heavenly flame crown prince was sent flying. The flaming dragon diagram on his body shattered, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He forced himself to circulate his chi and prepared to fight again, but he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. "You can't do it." Infinite Tyrant stood with his spear and looked around. Then, he looked at Zhou Jianying and Yin Shan and sighed. "Is there no one in the entire South Heaven region who can match me?" He was lonely. He stood at the peak, but no one could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. The heavenly flame crown prince's face turned ugly. He originally thought that he could compete with Infinite Tyrant, but he did not expect to be defeated by his spear. What a domineering spear technique! Lin Xian exclaimed from below. That shot just now made his hair stand on end. He compared himself to the heavenly flame crown prince and realized that even he could not shatter that spear. However, he would not be as pathetic as the heavenly flame crown prince. That was because he had the sword of devouring. As long as he wanted to, he could devour that spear. I really hope to fight with him. Lin Xian was filled with fighting spirit. Originally, he only wanted to compete with Zhou Jianying, but now it seemed that he had to add Infinite Tyrant to his list of opponents. Such a martial artist was worthy of him going all out. After absorbing the heavenly flame crown prince's true dragon energy, Infinite Tyrant's true dragon energy had reached 84 feet. That true dragon energy suppressed the surroundings. Yin Shan looked at the true dragon energy with a trace of greed in his eyes. Then, he touched the bandages on his back. Infinite Tyrant, I'll give you a big gift when the time comes." In front of him, the sea of fire disappeared and the arena was revealed. More than half of the black gold arena was burned and a deep pit was formed. The surroundings were charred black and the bottom could not be seen. At that moment, the true dragon energy under the ground surged and emitted a 5-colored light that enveloped the deep pit. Soon, the ground returned to normal and the black gold arena was intact. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not expect the true dragon energy to have such an effect. If he absorbed it into his body, could it heal his wounds? He secretly used the sword of devouring to try absorbing it. Chapter 479. This idea was very risky because before the Azure Dragon Society ended, these contestants could not use true dragon chi. But Lin Xian seemed to be absorbing its power, which could be said to be very heaven-defying. Of course, he would not treat his life as a joke. So, he only absorbed a little bit. In the next moment, a trace of joy appeared on his face. I can actually absorb it. Although the process was very slow, Lin Xian could clearly feel a mysterious power entering his body from the true dragon chi. I wonder what effect it will have if I absorb more? Thinking of this, Lin Xian began to absorb with all his might. At this moment, Zhou Jianying walked up the stage. Dressed in green and surrounded by sword chi, she was like a sword god reborn, sharp to the extreme. As the second-rank prodigy, her target was very clear, and that was infinite dominance. However, her battle with infinite dominance was very simple, with only one move. But this move was better than all the previous ones. A sword light, stunning the 9 heavens, quickly slashed towards infinite dominance. Countless fine spatial cracks appeared in the place where it passed. Infinite dominance was still incomparably domineering. The golden spear in his hand stabbed out like a scorching sun. After one move, a black hole the size of a millstone appeared in the void and quickly merged. The stage beneath their feet was torn apart again. Infinite Dominance stood with his spear, looking around disdainfully. Zhou Jinying's face was a little pale, especially her right hand, which was trembling. As expected of the Overlord bloodline, only you can use the hegemonic Qi technique to this extent. Zhou Jinying did not continue to attack. The sword just now had already determined the winner, and it would be futile to continue fighting. Moreover, now was not the time for the final battle. In the entire Tianan region, only you can arouse my interest. Infinite Dominance side. In the end, only Infinite Dominance was left. However, he did not challenge anyone. As the top prodigy, he did not put anyone in his eyes. After the first round of challenges, the rankings of the 4 prodigies did not change, but there was one more newcomer among the 5 prodigies. Lin Xian took Lei Zhun's place and was ranked 7th. He was the highest ranking among the newcomers. Soon, the second round of challenges began. Lin Xian spared a sliver of his soul to observe the battle. Zhao Shui, Yi Daolong, Dongfang Xiong, and the others fought bravely and made it into the top 30. Everyone was shocked. Although these people were also dark horses, they didn't expect that they would be able to continuously defeat strong opponents and advance to the next round. Lei Zhun went berserk and did his best to defeat Xiao Yaosheng. Once again, he entered the top 5. He looked at Lin Xian with hatred, but he didn't dare to challenge him again. The current him was no longer a match for Lin Xian. The ice spirit entered the arena. She looked at Lin Xian curiously, preparing to give it a try. In the end, Lin Xian stepped onto the stage and sent him flying with 3 strikes. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian's strength had increased again. One had to know that last time, he had fought with Lei Zhun for a long time. Bingling's strength was about the same as Lei Zhun's, but this time, she was sent flying by 3 sword strikes. This was simply too shocking. Lei Zhun felt a lingering fear in his heart. His back was drenched in sweat. Fortunately, he didn't challenge Lin Xian again. Otherwise, he would have been the one sent flying. After defeating the ice spirit, Lin Xian's true dragon energy had become stronger. It had returned to its original size of 6 feet. However, he wasn't happy. If it wasn't for Yin Shan, his true dragon energy would have been more. In the next moment, he looked into the distance with a sharp gaze. Yin Shan, get up here and die. His voice was so loud that it made the void tremble. Everyone was stunned. Lin Xian actually wanted to challenge Yin Shan. Moreover, he used such an arrogant tone. Lin Xian must be crazy. He's courting death. Who knows? Could it be because of Yin Shan's challenge? It can't be. Didn't he not dare to accept the challenge last time? Everyone was puzzled. They all thought that Lin Xian was crazy. Yin Shan's face was so gloomy that it was terrifying. As one of the top 4 prodigies, even Infinite Tyrant didn't dare to speak to him like this. Now, a worm that he regarded as an ant dared to speak so arrogantly. He couldn't stand it. Lowly worm, I'll refine you into a half-human puppet and let you suffer the punishment of hell for eternity. Yin Shan's body was filled with killing intent. He looked like the king of hell, ferocious and terrifying. At that moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian. Interesting. I thought he was a coward. I didn't expect him to have such a domineering side. Infinite Tyrant looked at Lin Xian with a hint of interest. Zhou Jinying pursed her lips. She could feel the powerful sword intent behind Lin Xian's confidence. That sword intent was even more powerful than before. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame frowned. He didn't have a good impression of Lin Xian's words. After all, the top 4 prodigies couldn't be humiliated. In the ancient city, Venerable Lord Sword also narrowed his eyes. Little guy, interesting. Whoosh. Yin Shan came to the arena. He waved his hand and summoned 8 puppets. 2 of them were at the mid-stage of the spirit transformation realm, while the other 6 were at the early stage of the spirit transformation realm. That was a terrifying lineup. Other than the top prodigies, no one could stop them. Zhao Shui's palms were sweating. Brat, don't try to be brave. Yi Daolong and Dongfang Xiong were also nervous. After all, their opponents were the top 4 prodigies. It was impossible for them not to be nervous. Reptile, you will pay for your ignorance. Yin Shan controlled the 8 puppets and laughed sinisterly. I don't have any good swordsman puppets. After I make you, my collection will be even more perfect. Hearing that, everyone felt a chill down their spines. The 8 puppets in the arena were all made of living people. The Iron Puppet sect was really perverted. Although they were cursing, they were still worried for Lin Xian. There are so many puppets. How can he fight? Sigh. He's still too young and impulsive. However, Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. Cut the crap. Show me what you've got. Don't think that you can bully others just because you're a prodigy. Today, I'll let you know the consequences of bullying me. You're courting death. Yin Shan snorted and controlled the 8 puppets to charge forward. His control was exquisite and contained the principles of array formations. It made the already powerful lineup even more powerful. In an instant, Lin Xian was surrounded by the 8 puppets. Destroy. Lin Xian's voice was cold. He waved the Star of Extinction sword in his hand, and a dazzling sword light shone. What followed was a terrifying sword intent. It was cold, sharp, and so powerful that it made people despair. The entire arena was shrouded by this shocking sword intent. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and activated their defensive armor to resist. It couldn't be helped. This sword intent was too sharp. Even though they were far away, they still felt pain in their bodies as if they were pierced by thousands of swords. The most shocked person was Zhou Jianying. As a swordsman, she could clearly feel this sword intent. 80% sword intent, she exclaimed. What? 80% sword intent? Everyone was shocked. When did Lin Xian's sword intent become so powerful? However, before they could think about it, the dazzling sword light crashed down. The void trembled and shattered like a mirror. Countless black cracks spread out. It was terrifying. The entire arena was enveloped by the sword light and quickly drowned. Chapter 480. Lin Xian used 80% sword intent as soon as he entered the arena. The sharp sword chi instantly shrouded the arena. An earth-shattering sound rang out as the entire arena split apart with a loud bang. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian had split the arena open with one strike. Where's Yin Shan? Everyone looked at the arena. On the arena, 8 puppets were lying on the ground. Their bodies had all been cut in half. The cuts were even, and there was even a trace of terrifying sword intent lingering around them. Yin Shan was not injured, but his face became very ugly. He did not expect that the reptile he had always regarded as an ant would show such strength. This sword intent was not much weaker than Zhou Jianying's. What a terrifying sword intent! Is another heavenly talent going to appear? Han Fei was shocked. The other 3 geniuses were surprised. Lin Xian's strength was beyond their expectations. Zhou Jianying, in particular, stared at Lin Xian with her beautiful eyes. Damn you! You've angered me. Yin Shan's voice was filled with killing intent. He opened the puppet bag and summoned 3 more black puppets. These are late-stage spirit transformation puppets. It seemed that Yin Shan was really angry. Yin Shan had used these puppets in his battle with the Prince of Heavenly Flame. Even the blazing flames did not burn them. Whoosh! Yin Shan controlled the 3 puppets and rushed toward Lin Xian together with his real body. This time, he must take down Lin Xian. Clang! 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 The 3 puppets were as fast as ghosts, constantly changing their positions around Lin Xian. They attacked fiercely, all aimed at Lin Xian's vital points. Wind Thunder Sword Wave. Lin Xian slashed out with his long sword, and sword chi rippled out. 80% sword intent gushed out, stunning everyone. The 3 black puppets were all hit by the sword chi and were knocked back. None of them could get close to Lin Xian. Yin Shan's 5 fingers danced, and his spiritual energy was like silk, connecting to the 3 puppets. Immediately, the 3 puppets attacked again. Humph! Windslayer. Lin Xian's long sword slashed down horizontally. The strange sword chi disappeared, completely blending into the wind. Chi, flying out like a gust of wind. Those silk-like spiritual power were all cut off. In an instant, the 3 puppets stopped moving. What? The puppet technique has been broken? No way. Is Yin Shan going to lose? Everyone was alarmed and started discussing spiritedly. Lin Xian didn't slow down at all as he charged towards Yan Shan. This time, he used the moon-shattering sword qi. The crescent sword qi was aimed at Yan Shan's vitals. Yan Shan abruptly raised his head with a sneer in his eyes. Then, he flipped his palm and took out 2 black wooden boards. He gently knocked on them. Bang! Bang! A deep voice sounded, and a black figure instantly appeared in front of him. Bang! That figure withstood the crescent sword qi. Huh! What? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and frowned. It was the black puppet that had blocked his sword qi. At this moment, the black puppet's arm had split open. The black metal formed a shield and blocked the sword qi. What a tough body, Lin Xian exclaimed. It wasn't afraid of his sword qi. In the next moment, he sensed 2 attacks coming from behind him. With a tap of his foot, he retreated like a ghost. Puff! 2 cold lights appeared in the air, emitting a heart-trembling light. The air fluctuated, and 2 more black puppets appeared. Their palms split open, revealing 2 pitch-black daggers covered in purple liquid. It was obvious that they were highly poisonous. Yan Shan stood in the middle of the field, hitting the black wooden boards. The 3 puppets seemed to have received some kind of command and moved quickly. It seemed that the silk-like spiritual power wasn't the only way to control the puppets. It seemed that he had to kill the 3 puppets. Lin Xian's aura became fierce. He pointed his sword lightly, and the green sword qi was like smoke, faintly discernible. A terrifying sword qi was contained within. Qi. The sword light flashed as fast as lightning. Lin Xian's sword pierced the black puppet's joint. Sword qi gushed out as he directly destroyed the key part. Brat, how dare you? Yan Shan was finally enraged. He roared and quickly moved forward. However, Lin Xian's attack succeeded, and he floated away. Damn it! Yan Shan's face darkened. He didn't expect Lin Xian's sword technique to be so terrifying that he could accurately find the puppet's weakness. One had to know that even Prince Tianhua couldn't find these weaknesses. This was the terror of a swordsman. He could find the weakness and kill it in one strike. Seeing that one of the puppets couldn't be used, Yan Shan raised his guard. However, not long after, the remaining 2 puppets were also destroyed by Lin Xian. Yan Shan didn't have time to be angry because the terrifying sword qi was already rushing toward him. Boom! He waved his palms and deflected the sword qi. Then, he stared coldly at Lin Xian. Everyone only knew that his puppets were powerful, but they neglected his own strength. However, as one of the 4 prodigies, how could his combat strength be weak? Even without the puppets, he could still become a prodigy. Humph, brat, don't waste your energy. Prodigies have no weaknesses. Yan Shan said coldly. No weaknesses? Lin Xian laughed. You overestimate yourself. In my opinion, your body is full of weaknesses. You're courting death. Yan Shan was furious. No one dared to talk to him like that. Buzz. The absolute star sword pierced out, and the sword qi flickered. The sword was too fast. Yan Shan didn't even have time to react before the tip of the sword was already in front of him. So fast. Below the stage, Xiaojian was shocked. Lin Xian's sword exceeded his speed concept. Yan Shan's forehead was covered in sweat. The terrifying sword qi made his hair stand. Damn it! He retreated, but the sword qi was still close to him and was getting closer. Helpless, he could only pull the white bandage in front of him. Ding! 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 The white bandage was like a wall, blocking the sword. Lin Xian withdrew his sword and retreated to a safe distance. For some reason, he felt uneasy facing the white bandage. The others were also stunned. Yan Shan had been carrying the white bandage, so no one knew what was inside. However, he didn't use it in his battle with Prince Heavenly Flame. He didn't expect that he would have to use it in advance against Lin Xian. Brat, you can die in peace now that you forced me to use my ultimate move, Yan Shan said hatefully. Lin Xian's killing moves had almost injured him. He was both shocked and angry. He grabbed the white bandage and pulled it hard. Suddenly, the thick bandage fell, revealing the thing inside. A figure appeared and stood quietly in the arena. It was a man in black with a demonic face and his eyes closed. His appearance made the entire space become oppressive. What is that? Everyone's heart trembled. The other three prodigies also felt uneasy. On the ancient city, the five supremacies frowned deeply. Among them, Sword Supremacy said slowly, "I seem to have seen this face before, but I can't remember it." "I have the same feeling," Green Lotus Supremacy said. It wasn't a good feeling, making the five of them feel uneasy. Below, when Lin Xian saw that face, his body stiffened as if he was struck by lightning. Chapter 481. When Lin Xian saw the figure, he was stunned. He nearly exclaimed out loud. This was because he had seen that demonic face before. It was in the space of the great dragon sword Soul. Lin Xian would never forget that there was a black-robed youth not far from the great dragon sword Soul. He looked very demonic. However, he did not expect to see that person here. Who is this guy? Why is he on Yinshan? And why is he wrapped in bandages? Could he be a puppet? What's the relationship between Yinshan and the great dragon sword? Who was the black-robed man in the great dragon sword's Soul space? In an instant, countless thoughts flashed through Lin Xian's mind. Buzz. Suddenly, the demonic man opened his eyes and stared at Lin Xian. A sinister smile appeared on his pale face. "Hee, I can sense the aura of the great dragon sword," the demonic man said in an inaudible voice. "Sir, please make your move." At this moment, Yin Shan became very respectful. He bowed slightly and used his blood to draw a strange pattern on the demonic man's back. Blood splattered as the blood-colored array diagram turned even redder. In the end, it looked like a bloody sun that was blinding to the eyes. The spiritual energy in the sky gathered, forming a huge spiritual energy vortex. Like a funnel, it quickly entered the blood-colored array diagram. Following that, the demonic man's body trembled slightly as though he had eaten his fill. His body gradually released vitality. Buzz, buzz. The demonic man moved his limbs, and with every movement, the air rumbled incessantly. An abnormally oppressive aura surged out and spread between heaven and earth. Everyone tensed up and found it difficult to breathe. However, this was just the demonic man's normal movements. He did not deliberately release his aura. Even so, everyone could not take it anymore. The blood-colored light dissipated, and the demonic man's smile deepened. Beside him, a small blood-colored pattern appeared on Yin Shan's forehead. The shape was exactly the same as the one on the demonic man's back. Lin Xian frowned as the uneasiness in his heart grew. "Xiao Xuanzi, he shouldn't be the person you saw," Lord Alcohol said. "Don't be fooled by him. He's not your match." "Okay." Lin Xian nodded. Then, the absolute star sword stabbed out, and the great dragon sword will turned into a shocking sword chi. 80% sword intent, Wind Emperor's sword. Yin Shan's pupils shrank. If he were to face this attack alone, he would not be able to block it. Fortunately, there was a demonic man now. As expected, when facing the Wind Emperor's sword, the bewitching man took the lead to fly over. His black robes fluttered like black flames. One of his fingers was like a heavenly pillar, blocking the sword light. Boom! The two collided. The sword light shattered, and so did the heavenly pillar-like finger. He blocked it? Everyone was surprised. There was actually someone who could block Lin Xian's 80% sword intent. This was too inconceivable. Lin Xian was surprised. His opponent's attack seemed ordinary, but it was extremely sharp. That situation was actually somewhat similar to his great dragon sword intent. Who was this guy? His eyes narrowed slightly as he assumed a strange posture. He had comprehended this move from the divine sword visualization picture. Although he had not tested it yet, he was confident. Heavenly Dance of the Green Dragon. A sword light streaked across like a green dragon splitting the sky, grabbing at the bewitching man. This move made the bewitching man's expression change. He snorted coldly. His sleeves fluttered, and a ball of white flame appeared on his fingertip. When the flame appeared, the entire void distorted as if it could not withstand the heat. In the distance, Crown Prince Heavenly Flame looked at the white flame and his expression changed greatly. As a fire-based martial artist, he could naturally feel the terror of the flame. Even Supremacy Scarlet Flame's expression changed. On the opposite side, Lin Xian swung his sword, and he was also shocked. However, the black dragon flame in his body quickly jumped and confronted the black flame outside. This could it be? Lin Xian did not think too much as the sword light had already collided with the black flame. At this moment, he stabbed out again. Heavenly Meteor. This sword was aimed at Yin Shan. Swoosh. A gorgeous sword light lit up, illuminating the entire arena. Yin Shan was shocked and quickly retreated. Not far away, the bewitching man also flicked out a wisp of white flame. Feeling the bewitching man's help, Yin Shan smiled calmly. He knew that as long as the bewitching man helped, Lin Xian would not be able to hurt him. Thinking of this, his speed slowed down. Buzz. A wisp of white flame expanded in the air and formed a white fireball. It hit Lin Xian and enveloped him. He hit him. Everyone was shocked. That kind of flame could kill anyone below the spirit-detecting realm. Although Lin Xian was hit by the black flame, he was still flying quickly. You overestimate yourself. Yin Shan sneered. He stretched out his palm and formed a huge palm that enveloped Lin Xian. He wanted to turn Lin Xian into ashes with this palm. Poof. At this moment, a scream was heard. Yin Shan flew out, blood splattering into the sky. What? Yin Shan is injured? What happened? Everyone was shocked. Not only him, but even the three prodigies frowned. This result was also out of their expectations. That's impossible. He can't block the white flame. Prince Heavenly Flame was confused. This Lin Xian has many secrets on him. Infinite Tyrant was very interested. On the arena, Yin Shan stood up with difficulty. His palm was pierced, and there was a hole in half of his body. Moreover, what made him even angrier was that the sword intent left on the wound seemed to be inextinguishable and continued to destroy his body. Kid, you're courting death. The bewitching man spoke for the first time. His voice was very low, as if he had not spoken for a long time. He can talk. Isn't he a puppet? Many people were stunned. They had never seen a puppet that could talk. However, the bewitching man did not look like a human. He also had a dense aura of death on him. It was very strange. The bewitching man was very angry. Lin Xian dared to injure Yin Shan in front of him. What was more despicable was that his white flame did not have any effect on him. One had to know that his white flame was very terrifying. Even a spirit-detecting realm martial artist would be burned to ashes after coming into contact with it. However, Lin Xian was unharmed. Stop bragging. Your flame is powerful, but it's useless against me. Lin Xian sneered. When he was enveloped by the white flame, the black dragon flame in his body quickly surged out to resist the white flame. Therefore, his opponent's white flame could not hurt him at all. Nether flame descends. The bewitching man's face showed a trace of anger. Countless pale flames appeared around him as if they were the flames of hell. The flames intertwined and rushed toward Lin Xian. Insignificant skill. Extinguish. Lin Xian's sword light flashed and extinguished the flames. At the same time, the star of extinction sword drew a strange trajectory and an ancient aura was emitted from the long sword. Gale lightning sword. Mountain break sword. Chapter 482. Gale lightning sword. One sword to break mountains and rivers. Above the sky, the clouds churned and a gigantic sword appeared. The sword body was outlined with ancient patterns, emitting an ancient aura. The moment this sword shadow appeared, it was like a divine sword that crushed all directions. Everyone below trembled and looked at the sky in horror. So terrifying. What move is this? Earth tier martial art. It's actually an Earth tier martial art. Someone exclaimed. How is that possible? How can Lin Xian know an Earth tier martial art? One had to know that Earth tier martial arts were very rare, and there weren't many in the entire Tianan region. Only the four prodigies of the younger generation had mastered Earth tier martial arts. The sects behind them were all 5-star sects, and they had venerables overseeing them. That was why they could learn Earth tier martial arts. However, Lin Xian, a martial artist without a sect and background, could actually master an Earth tier martial art. This was absolutely shocking news. Not only the participants, but even the 5 venerables on the ancient city were shocked. They looked at the earth-tier martial art with a trace of passion in their eyes. This Lin Xian has a lot of secrets on him. The previous ones haven't been solved yet, and now there's another earth-tier martial art. Venerable Green Lotus exclaimed, "This kind of person has a great opportunity." Venerable Sword's words had a trace of envy. Below, everyone was still discussing. Too terrifying. Not only does he have amazing talent, but he also has heaven-defying luck. He can actually master an earth-tier martial art. If nothing goes wrong, this Lin Xian might very well become the fifth prodigy. Just as everyone was discussing, the demonic man's expression became very solemn. Earth-tier martial arts were already the top martial arts in the Tianan region. Even he had to be careful. Moreover, Lin Xian's 80% sword intent was very terrifying. Coupled with an earth-tier martial art, it was enough to threaten a spirit-detecting realm martial artist. Netherworld body, black dragon soul condensation. The demonic man shouted. The white flames around him jumped and covered his body, wrapping him up. Soon, the flames formed a set of flame armor, and a pair of dragon heads condensed in his hands. In the dragon heads, white flames condensed, forming a curved long saber, like the body of a dragon. The scimitar danced, and white flames danced, attached to the scimitar light, and rushed to the sky. This saber light was almost 1,000 meters long, like a white waterfall that defied the heavens. In the sky, the giant sword fell mercilessly, carrying with it the power to destroy mountains and rivers, bombarding the flaming blade aura. Boom! The two collided, bursting out with shocking energy. Countless black cracks appeared in the sky, looking sinister and terrifying. Too terrifying. Is the sky going to collapse? The crowd below was shocked. So what if it's an Earth-rank martial skill? You can't display the power of an Earth-rank martial skill. The bewitching man sneered. Really? Lin Xian stretched out his left hand again and quickly pulled out the Wind Shadow Sword. Wong. Gale Lightning Sword, Double Sword Star Annihilation. The sky trembled, and a huge sword appeared once again. Soon, two huge sword shadows appeared in the sky, suppressing all directions. As the giant sword fell, everything below was submerged. The arena cracked and the ground collapsed. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. The contestants quickly rose into the air, their faces filled with fear. There was nothing he could do about it. If he ran too slowly, it was very likely that he would be killed. Damn, is this Lin Xian still human? He's too terrifying. How come I've never heard of such a person before? Lin Xian was too powerful. Such a person should have been famous in the Tianan region long ago. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, the sword shadows disappeared and the situation below was revealed. Yin Shan was covered in blood and his aura was weak. It was obvious that he had suffered an unimaginable injury from the sword light. The bewitching man's face was even paler. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. It was very eye-catching. He stared at Lin Xian with a vicious look in his eyes. His identity was special. This time, he came to collect more true dragon chi. He originally thought that his opponent would be the number 1 prodigy, Infinite Tyrant. He did not expect that he would lose to Lin Xian. At the same time, he was even more shocked. Lin Xian's sword intent was definitely related to the Great Dragon Sword. Otherwise, it would not be able to injure him. Damn it, I must capture this brat. He tried to condense white flames, but he realized that Lin Xian's sword intent still remained in his body. He could not mobilize those flames for a while. Count yourself lucky this time. You won't be so lucky next time. The bewitching man snorted and slowly closed his eyes. Yin Shan gritted his teeth and formed a hand seal to seal the bewitching man. He carried him on his back again. It was obvious that he wanted to give up this opportunity and wait for the third round of challenges. The crowd was shocked. The bewitching man must be afraid of Lin Xian. Otherwise, he would not give up so easily. Lin Xian put away his swords. Then, the true dragon chi on his body surged and reached 7 feet. Furthermore, his ranking rose again, reaching 4th place. At this point, he had successfully joined the ranks of the 4 great prodigies. Lin Xian challenged Yin Shan in a domineering manner and won, becoming the new prodigy. This result was too shocking. Many people could not accept it at once. One had to know that the strength of the four great prodigies was deeply rooted in people's hearts. No one could shake them. However, a newcomer like Lin Xian had done it. He had fought his way up from the bottom and had not tasted defeat. Finally, he had reached the ranks of the four great prodigies. It would not be long before Lin Xian's name resounded throughout the entire Tianan region. Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief. This competition was more difficult than he had imagined. Of course, if it was not for the bewitching man, he could defeat Yin Shan with his 80% sword intent. Now, he had to use his trump card, the Gale Lightning Sword. Thankfully, Fang Xingjian still kept one of the Gale Lightning Sword technique. Moreover, he still had the Sword of Devouring and Black Dragon Flame. Therefore, his goal was not only that. He wanted to challenge an even higher goal. Lin Xian closed his eyes slightly and sensed the true dragon qi. Soon, he sensed the great dragon sword's aura again. Although it was very weak, it was still there. Soon, I'll be able to sense the great dragon sword's exact location soon. Lin Xian was ecstatic. He opened his eyes, which shone with an even brighter light. The golden armor on his body had disappeared and was replaced by a five-colored armor. The five-colored flowing light shone brightly under the sunlight. At this stage of the competition, the arena was broken and needed some time to recover. Lin Xian took this opportunity to recover his strength. The Sword of Devouring was activated, and he quickly absorbed the surrounding spiritual energy to recuperate his body. After a while, he was completely recovered. At this time, the arena was restored to its original state. Lin Xian went up again. This time, he wanted to challenge the prodigies again. Just as Lin Xian and the others were in the Azure Dragon Society, a few uninvited guests came to the Tianan region. There were a total of 3 people. They were shrouded in flowing light and could not be seen clearly. However, they were very powerful and were not weaker than the 4 great prodigies. The 3 of them stood on a giant bird and looked coldly at the ground. "Did you sense it?" one of them asked.
Yes.
Another person replied. According to the information, that person should be in the Azure Dragon Ancient City in the center of the Tianan region. Humph, no matter where he is, he can't escape death for killing the disciples of the Divine Bird Palace. Chapter 483. In the Azure Dragon Ancient City, on the arena, Lin Xian stood with his sword in hand, looking down on everyone like a sword god. This time, he challenged Zhou Jianying. Suddenly, everyone was in an uproar. No one was surprised by this scene, but seeing it with their own eyes still made their blood boil. Lin Xian's strength was obvious to all, and as a swordsman, he would definitely challenge Zhou Jianying. The battle between the two would also determine who was the #1 swordsman of the younger generation in the Tianan region. I think Zhou Jianying will definitely win. His sword intent is comparable to hers. Not necessarily. Lin Xian is too strong. I think he can create another miracle. Everyone had different opinions, but they all supported the #1 swordsman in their hearts. In the ancient city, Sword Venerable narrowed his eyes. Lin Xian is indeed not bad. He has strength and courage, but it's still a bit difficult for him to defeat Jianying. I heard that Jianying's sword intent has reached greater mastery. Is that true? Venerable Green Lotus asked. It hasn't reached greater mastery, but it's not far from it, Sword Venerable replied. Hearing this, the other venerables nodded slightly. If one's sword intent reached greater mastery, it would be very terrifying. Although Zhou Jianying hadn't reached greater mastery, it was related to greater mastery. It wasn't something that Lin Xian could compete with. In the arena, Zhou Jianying stood quietly in a green robe. She pulled out the sky-blue long sword behind her back and said in a deep voice, "You deserve my full strength." This wasn't bragging, but a kind of affirmation. One had to know that Zhou Jianying had never used her sword except when fighting against Ba Wuji. This time, facing Lin Xian, she pulled out the wicked sword behind her back. This was enough to show how much she valued him. Lin Xian pulled out the Wind Shadow sword and stared at it intently. Facing Zhou Jianying, he also needed to go all out. After all, his opponent was also a swordsman, and her sword intent was probably above his. If he was careless, he might be killed in one move. Holding the wind shadow sword, Lin Xian's dragon sword intent resonated, forming a fierce aura. On the opposite side, Zhou Jianying's sword intent also rose rapidly, reaching 80% mastery. The two sword intents collided in the void, competing with each other. Whoosh! Zhou Jianying was the first to make a move. With a tap of his foot, he shot out like a ray of sky-blue light. The heavenly diabolism pierced out with a shocking sword intent. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He could naturally feel the power of this sword. When he was watching from below the stage, he knew that Zhou Jianying's sword intent was stronger than his. But now, facing this sword intent head-on, his heart still trembled slightly. This woman was indeed a genius in the way of the sword. She was actually able to comprehend the sword intent to such an extent. Lin Xian took a deep breath and thrust out his right hand at lightning speed. The wind shadow sword slashed diagonally in front of him and accurately hit the heavenly evil sword. Clang! As the two swords clashed, a metallic sound rang out, causing the void to tremble and hum. The overflowing sword intent gushed out along with the sound waves. Ka-ka-ka! Countless sword marks appeared on the ground around the two of them, and they quickly spread. Soon, the entire arena and the ground below were pierced through. Too terrifying. Why did I feel like I was pierced by a sword just now? That's right. I also feel as if 10,000 swords have pierced through my heart. This was too terrifying. Perhaps that trace of sword intent could kill a martial artist in the spirit transformation realm. While everyone was talking, Lin Xian and Zhou Jianying were already fighting. Both of them were very fast. Sword light flashed like smoke and lightning. Every time they clashed, a terrifying force would be generated. In the end, the entire arena was filled with sword chi. Sky-splitting. Zhou Jianying's body suddenly leaned back. She held the heavenly evil sword with both hands and slashed down. The void was torn apart. The sword emitted a dazzling sword light, cutting everything in front of it apart. It was as if the sword light wasn't cutting the air, but space and heaven and earth. After dozens of exchanges, Zhou Jianying finally used her killer sword technique for the first time. Everlasting green cloud. The wind shadow sword swept out. Lin Xian quickly slashed out with his sword. This sword was illusory. There was no sword light or sword chi. Only the fluctuations in the air could be seen. The terrifying sword intent condensed into a point. Bang! Ka! All of a sudden, the heaven-opening sword chi split into two and quickly dissipated into the surroundings. It was Lin Xian's everlasting green cloud that cut the sword chi. However, after the everlasting green cloud cut the sky-splitting sword chi, it also quickly disappeared. After one exchange, the two were evenly matched. Earth-splitting. Zhou Jianying was calm. She stabbed the heavenly evil sword into the ground and quickly flicked it up. Suddenly, 5 huge beams of sword chi surged from the ground, forming an arc of sword chi that rushed towards Lin Xian like a wave. Everywhere they passed, the ground cracked and a terrifying abyss appeared. The 5 sword chi covered a large area. Moreover, the sword chi were interconnected. There was no way to dodge through the gaps. The power of this sword was so great that even a group of martial artists in the late stage of the spirit transformation realm would be killed in an instant. Moon splitting. Lin Xian placed the wind shadow sword in front of him. He squatted slightly and quickly swept out. The full moon sword chi surged out and swept across the sky. It was as if a full moon was flying close to the ground. Boom! The two sword chi collided and exploded in the center, forming a terrifying energy ball that quickly surrounded the area. Lin Xian, you're not bad. But it won't be so simple next. Zhou Jianying rose into the air. The sword intent on her body became more and more solid. Soon, the sword intent had surpassed 80% of its power. The sky shook as if a divine sword was tearing the sky apart. Lin Xian was the first to bear the brunt and felt a lot of pressure. This is a sword intent at the peak of 80%. Lin Xian took a deep breath. The greater success of sword intent was 90%, but Zhou Jianying's sword intent had reached the peak of 80%. It was very close to the greater success of sword intent. Even a martial artist in the 5th stage of the spirit detecting realm would have to retreat when facing such an attack. Lin Xian's eyes focused as he desperately circulated the great dragon sword intent in his body. Although his great dragon sword intent had not reached the peak of 80%, its aura was not weaker than Zhou Jianying's. In fact, this was very normal. Lin Xian's great dragon sword intent was born from the great dragon sword and represented an offensive saint technique. It could be said that his 80% sword intent was more terrifying than the greater success of ordinary swordsmen. Boom, boom, boom. The two sword intents collided again, and a terrifying spatial crack appeared in the sky. Damn, what kind of sword intent does Lin Xian have? It can actually compete with Zhou Jianying's peak 80% sword intent? This was too unbelievable. There was a huge difference between 80% and the peak of 80%. Under normal circumstances, a peak 80% sword intent could easily defeat an 80% sword intent. But this situation seemed to be ineffective against Lin Xian. In the crowd, Yin Shan looked at Lin Xian's figure with a gloomy expression. The white package behind him trembled violently. Great Dragon Sword. It can't be wrong. It really is such a sword intent. In the ancient city, the 5 sovereigns were also surprised. Lin Xian's performance was beyond their expectations. This sword intent is so sharp. Sword Sovereign said in a deep voice, I have never seen such a powerful sword intent. I really don't know how this kid comprehended it. Although the sword intents comprehended by swordsmen had the same name, the essence of the sword intents was very different. Lin Xian's sword will was obviously an extremely powerful sword will. Zhou Jianying was also shocked to see Lin Xian block her peak 80% sword intent. She was stunned for a moment, then quickly rushed over. Chapter 484. The heavenly evil sword in Zhou Jianying's hand suddenly trembled and emitted a dazzling blue light. Half of the sky was dyed blue, and a terrifying sword intent spread out in all directions. The heavenly evil sword slashed out. An array of sword light was like a rainbow in the sky, dazzling everyone's eyes. The sword intent resonated, and countless rays of sword chi intertwined in the sky, forming a huge sword net. It was terrifying. This is my towering heaven sword intent. You better not underestimate it. Zhou Jianying shouted. Lin Xian focused and activated the great dragon sword intent with all his might, swinging his sword quickly. He slashed out 5 rays of terrifying sword chi, like a green dragon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Bang, bang, bang. The sword chi collided and shook violently. In the end, the entire ancient city trembled. After 18 strikes, Lin Xian suddenly let out a long howl. He used the illusory demonic steps and displayed extreme speed, and the wind shadow sword stabbed out with him. The air was instantly pierced and scattered to the sides like a piece of cloth. The dazzling sword light surged like a dragon's roar. The sword intent spread out, and the ground below cracked, forming a terrifying pit. This was all caused by Lin Xian's sword intent. Flying rainbow. The sword chi was like a rainbow, crossing the sky, and the wind shadow sword quickly slashed towards Zhou Jianying. Clang! Zhou Jianying's starry eyes shone brightly, and the terrifying sword intent condensed on the sword edge. She held the heavenly evil sword in front of her chest, blocking Lin Xian's attack. The sound of metal clashing rang out, and the people below felt dizzy. The terrifying sound almost broke their eardrums. Lin Xian's sword was blocked, and he slashed forward. The wind shadow sword quickly slashed towards Zhou Jianying's arm, and it was faster than lightning. Zhou Jianying retracted her sword and blocked. She danced with her sword, forming a sword screen, and collided with the tip of the wind shadow sword, causing it to retreat. Lin Xian stepped in the air and quickly retreated. His arm was a little numb. His opponent's strength was beyond his imagination. However, this was exactly what he wanted. Since the start of the competition, he had never met an opponent who made his blood boil. Moreover, this opponent was a sword genius. He could finally use his full strength and did not have to worry about anything. Thinking of this, Lin Xian stopped and quickly rushed over. Golden lightning runes appeared on his body and circled around him, making him look like a golden god of war. 3,000 lightning haste. Lin Xian's sword art changed after he displayed the gold lightning body. His originally light and agile sword art became abnormally violent. At this moment, he was like the god of thunder. His body was surrounded by golden lightning, and the wind shadow sword in his hand turned into 3,000 golden lightning bolts, which quickly blasted in all directions. Terrifying sword chi slashed out. Every one of them was as large as a mountain. The rumbling of thunder could be heard incessantly. Zhou Jinying was surprised. She didn't think that a person's swordsmanship could change so much. Just a moment ago, it was incomparably fast and agile, and now it had become abnormally violent. It was impossible for ordinary people to master these two completely different sword techniques. However, Lin Xian seemed to be an exception. His lightning sword chi was too terrifying, as if it was going to tear the heavens and earth apart. You've already fallen behind," Zhou Jinying shouted. She was surrounded by an endless blue light, like a sea of stars. The heavenly evil sword in her hand turned into a meteor rainbow, resisting the lightning that filled the sky. She was indeed the heavenly sword goddess. Her combat strength was too shocking. That incomparably sharp sword chi was able to split Lin Xian's lightning sword chi apart every time. However, Lin Xian's lightning sword chi was not to be trifled with either. Those split lightning sword chi suddenly exploded, forming a terrifying destructive force. Everything within a radius of 300 meters was covered by a sea of lightning. The scene was too terrifying. 3,000 lightning haste, wind shadow fusion, wind thunder cut. Lin Xian shouted as he raised his right arm. The wind shadow sword released a blinding sword light, which soared into the sky and illuminated the entire sky. At this moment, Lin Xian merged all the wind thunder concepts into one and slashed down with a stunning sword. Myriad sword art. At this critical moment, Zhou Jinying no longer held back. She displayed the myriad sword sect's ultimate sword technique. Suddenly, countless terrifying sword chi appeared in all directions and quickly merged into the heavenly evil sword. Moreover, her body also released a dazzling sword chi. One person and one sword seemed to be unique in the world. The myriad sword chi clashed with the wind thunder cut, forming waves of energy that wreaked havoc in the sky. "Too terrifying," the crowd below exclaimed. They could not see the two's movements at all. They could only see the overflowing energy in the sky. The other three heroes all looked solemn. Among them, Infinite Tyrant was still fine. He stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the sky like an overlord. Prince Heavenly Flame stared at the two figures in the sky and frowned. He faintly felt that Lin Xian's strength seemed to have surpassed his. Impossible. He immediately denied it. However, the terrifying sword intent made his heart tremble. In the end, Yin Shan's face turned even darker. He did not expect Lin Xian to be so powerful that he could resist Zhou Jinying for such a long time. Great Dragon Sword. It must be the power of the Great Dragon Sword. The demonic man in the white bag behind Yin Shan let out an unwilling soul fluctuation. We must catch him. The Great Dragon Sword cannot be left outside. Boom. At this moment, the sword light in the sky exploded, tearing everything in the vicinity apart. Lin Xian and Zhou Jinying were 100 meters apart, staring at each other. The two exchanged blows again, and they were still evenly matched. Looks like I can only use an Earth rank martial art. Lin Xian held the Wind Shadow sword tightly and began to activate the Gale Lightning sword. On the opposite side, Zhou Jinying had the same thought. He activated the Myriad sword art with all his might, using the Myriad sword fusion. This was the Myriad sword sect's Earth rank martial art. It was extremely powerful, and he believed that it was not weaker than Lin Xian's. He was even confident that this sword could defeat his opponent. In the sky, a gigantic sword appeared, emitting an ancient aura. On the opposite side, Zhou Jinying appeared beside her and quickly merged with the heavenly evil sword in her hand. Suddenly, the heavenly evil sword emitted a dazzling light, like a blue sun, shining in all directions. Both of them used their trump cards with all their might, causing a huge pressure to descend from the sky, enveloping the area below. The crowd below could not stop trembling. At the same time, four spirit-detecting realm martial artists appeared around the ancient city. They quickly formed hand seals, forming a huge defensive barrier. This was to protect the safety of the participants and the audience. Lin Xian and Zhou Jianying were too terrifying. Their Earth-rank martial arts could cause half of the ancient city to collapse if they were not careful. Although the ancient city had true dragon qi, it could be repaired. But if other martial artists were injured, it would be an unimaginable disaster. Soon, a 5-colored light screen appeared, isolating the crowd outside. At this moment, the two in the sky had finished condensing and quickly swung their swords. The gigantic swords slashed down, shattering the mountains and rivers below. The terrifying sword qi slashed towards Zhou Jianying. The heavenly evil sword in Zhou Jianying's hand also emitted a dazzling light, slashing out a sword qi that was close to 1,000 meters long, blasting towards the sky. Rumble. It was as if countless thunderbolts were exploding in the sky. The two Earth-rank martial arts collided, emitting a destructive light. In an instant, a huge spirit qi vortex appeared in the sky. 2 dazzling pillars of light shot out from the vortex, connecting heaven and earth and continuing to expand. Chapter 485. The stage below disappeared in an instant, and a terrifying abyss appeared on the ground. The 2 light pillars and sword qi collided with the defensive light, emitting a violent friction sound. The 5-colored defensive light screen rippled like water ripples. But in the end, it still blocked the terrifying sword qi. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief, then quickly raised their heads and looked at the sky impatiently. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the sky impatiently. The sword light gradually dissipated, and 2 figures appeared in a hazy manner. However, at this moment, a cold voice resounded through the sky. 10,000 swords return. The dark blue light once again bloomed with endless brilliance, and countless terrifying sword qi were emitted from Zhou Jianying's body. On the opposite side, Lin Xian waved his sword, and the firmament giant sword appeared in the sky at the same time. Gale lightning sword, dual sword star destruction. 2 firmament giant swords condensed in the sky and quickly slashed downwards. There's more? Everyone was shocked and looked at the sky in horror. They originally thought that the 2 of them would use the 10,000 Earth stage martial arts to determine the result, but they did not expect this result. Earth stage martial arts are mysterious and unfathomable, far from what we can imagine. Yeah, it's said that only venerables can fully display the power of Earth stage martial arts. Lin Xian and the rest can only display a part of it. But even so, the power was not something that everyone could contend against. The 2 attacks collided, and the sky was once again covered by the terrifying energy. However, this time, Lin Xian did not plan to stop. He roared, and his black hair fluttered, and the wind shadow sword quickly pierced out. Gale lightning sword, 3 sword ghosts and gods. What, there's more? Everyone was surprised. Even the venerables were moved. The power of the 3 firmament giant swords had already surpassed the 10,000 swords return. Could it be that Lin Xian is going to win? I don't know, but if Zhou Jianying does not use her ultimate move, I'm afraid it will be difficult to block the power of these 3 swords. Everyone was worried, and at this moment, the 3 firmament giant swords mercilessly slashed the air, and even a terrifying spatial crack appeared. The 10,000 swords return was instantly shattered, and Zhou Jianying's body was submerged in the terrifying sword qi. It's over. Zhou Jianying is probably going to be seriously injured after being hit by the Earth stage martial arts. It can't be. Lin Xian is going to defy the heavens this time. He defeated so many prodigy-level experts one after another. Looks like the number 1 swordsman has already won. After a long time, the terrifying energy in the sky dissipated. Lin Xian withdrew his wind shadow and looked forward. Amidst the ruins, Zhou Jianying's face was pale. Her hairpin had been shattered, and her long black hair was scattered behind her, fluttering in the wind. Coupled with that beautiful and pale face, there was actually a kind of otherworldly feeling. His green clothes were stained with blood. It was obvious that he had been injured in the previous attack. Can he still fight? Everyone was worried. The 3 swords of demon and god frightening is indeed powerful. Zhou Jianying said slowly, but I should thank you this time. It was you who helped me break through my limits. With that, she stood up with the heavenly evil sword in her hand. She looked like a peerless sword god, exuding a unique aura. Lin Xian frowned. He felt that although Zhou Jinying was injured, her aura had changed. It was an indescribable feeling, but his instincts told him that Zhou Jinying was now more terrifying than before. Thank you for letting me comprehend the sword essence of great success. What? Great success, sword intent? Could it be that she has made a breakthrough? The crowd below exclaimed. God, how old is she? She has already comprehended the sword essence of great success at such a young age. This is considered a record in the Tianan region, right? What a shocking reversal. They thought that Lin Xian would counterattack, but Zhou Jinying suddenly broke through. Perhaps no one could resist the sword essence of great success this time. In the ancient city, the 5 venerables were also amazed. The sword venerable even clapped his hands and laughed. Jinying is probably the youngest swordsman to reach the great success. Lin Xian also sighed. His opponent's talent was really beyond his expectations. She was able to break through at the last moment. Opposite him, Zhou Jinying stood with her sword in hand, looking calm. At this moment, she seemed to have merged with the heavenly evil sword. She just stood there casually, but seemed to be ready to attack at any time. Her body seemed to have no flaws. I can't even attack. Lin Xian frowned. Zhou Jinying's state made it impossible for him to attack. Is this the sword essence of great success? It's really powerful. It's completely different from the previous sword essence. Every move carried an inexplicable energy. At this moment, Lin Xian had a hint of understanding. His heart was even more eager to reach the sword essence of great success. Although his opponent had comprehended the sword essence of great success, he would not admit defeat so easily. Make your move, or you won't have a chance. Zhou Jinying was very confident. Her tone made even Infinite Dominion frown in the distance. Only an extremely powerful and confident person could have such a performance. Without a doubt, Zhou Jinying had achieved this characteristic. Interesting. I didn't expect someone to be able to arouse my real interest. Infinite Dominion laughed. He had been lonely for too long and urgently needed an opponent to fight. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He could tell that Zhou Jinying was not bluffing. He focused his gaze and held the Wind Shadow sword tightly. His trump cards were the Sword of Devouring, the Black Dragon Flame, and a trace of true dragon chi. He would not use the Sword of Devouring unless he had no other choice, because this thing had too many implications, and there were 5 venerables here. If he used it rashly, he might be recognized by others. At that time, he would be in danger. After all, the Sword of Devouring was one of the 5 swords in the world. With it, one would have the qualifications to reach the peak of martial arts. This temptation was huge for martial artists. Even venerables could not avoid it. Therefore, he planned to use the Black Dragon Flame. Even venerables could not resist this flame. It would definitely be able to break his opponent's sword essence of great success. Thinking of this, Lin Xian quickly mobilized the black flames in his body. Whoosh! The Black Dragon Flame instantly covered the Wind Shadow sword. Traces of black flames circled around the sword. It was as mysterious as a divine sword from hell. As soon as the flames appeared, they ignited the void. An unusually violent and arrogant heat spread out. Everyone was frightened. They felt an instinctive pressure from their souls. What flame is this? It's too terrifying. I feel like I will be destroyed with just a glance. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame stood up abruptly. His eyes were filled with disbelief. As a fire attribute martial artist, he had cultivated the Earth Martial Art 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram. It could be said that the power of his flame was abnormally strong. Even so, when he saw the black flames, he still felt a sense of fear. The black flames seemed to be able to restrain him. It caused the fire attribute's spiritual power in his body to be frozen and unable to circulate. What kind of flame is this? It can actually restrain the flames produced by the Earth Martial Art? Chapter 486. Crown Prince Heavenly Flame was shocked. He did not believe that there was a flame stronger than the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon portrait, unless it was a higher-level heaven-tier martial art. However, that kind of thing only existed in legends. How could a small martial artist like Lin Xian come into contact with it? It had been tens of thousands of years since a heaven-tier martial art had appeared in the entire Tianan region. Other than Crown Prince Heavenly Flame, there was another person who was terrified. It was the demonic man in Yin Shan's back. When he saw the black flame, he looked as if he had seen a ghost and almost screamed. Black dragon flame. How is that possible? How could he have the black dragon flame? The demonic man was stunned. He did not believe that Lin Xian would have the black dragon flame. However, the truth was right in front of him. On the ancient city, the 5 sovereigns frowned when they saw the black flame. Black flame, what a special flame. Why is this flame so familiar? Isn't this the black dragon flame that injured Sovereign Long for 100 years? Sovereign Chi was said in a deep voice. I knew this kid was a spy from the black dragon cult. He finally gave himself away. Humph, what's there to say? Quickly take him down and search his soul. Sovereign Green Lotus and Sovereign Sword frowned when they heard that. They did not believe that Lin Xian was a spy from the Black Dragon cult. However, Lin Xian had taken out the Black Dragon Flame. The Black Dragon Flame was exclusive to the Black Dragon cult's leader. No one else could get their hands on it. Forget it. Let's capture him first. However, let's not hurt him first. Sovereign Green Lotus sighed. Below, Lin Xian's black dragon flame shocked everyone. Even Zhou Jinying felt her heart palpitate. She thought that she could completely crush Lin Xian after breaking through to the greater success sword intent. However, she did not expect that Lin Xian still had a trump card. The black flame made her heart tremble. She was sure that if she was hit by the black flame, she would be burned to death. Lin Xian condensed the black flame and wrapped it around the wind shadow sword. He raised his arm and was ready to attack. However, a terrifying pressure surged out and enveloped the surroundings. It was as if an unbreakable cage was pressing on him. What's the situation? What kind of aura is this? Many people collapsed on the ground, their faces pale. Even the spirit-detecting judge was stunned. He couldn't understand why the aura of a venerable would appear. Furthermore, this aura was targeted at Lin Xian. A supreme expert has made his move. Everyone was terrified. Lin Xian was equally shocked. He could not figure out why a venerable one would attack him. That terrifying pressure seemed to want to crush her body. The sword of Devourer in his body spun quickly, absorbing the pressure. At the same time, he activated the Great Dragon Sword Will with all his might, forming a terrifying sword. Wong. The sword chi shattered, turning into fragments that scattered in the air. The Venerable One's strength was unquestionable, and he could not resist at all. Fortunately, the devouring process was extremely magical. It could even devour the might of a Venerable One. This made Lin Xian feel a little better. He raised his head unwillingly, gritted his teeth and asked, Why? Why? Himph, you Black Dragon Cult spy. Stop acting. Venerable Scarlet Flame coldly snorted. What spy? Black Dragon sect? Everyone was at a loss, not knowing what to say. Some of the disciples of the large sects seemed to have heard of this news. They were all shocked and looked at Lin Xian. The Black Dragon sect is a terrifying demonic sect in the South Horizon region. They are vicious and have done many evil deeds. They have once caused great suffering in the South Horizon region. I heard that the Black Dragon sect is showing signs of rising again. I didn't expect Lin Xian to be a remnant of the Black Dragon sect. It's a pity that such a genius is a member of the demonic sect. Humph, how bold. He actually dares to come to a place like the Azure Dragon Association. He must be tired of living. Some people sneered. These people had been defeated by Lin Xian before, and now they were adding insult to injury. However, Zhao Shui, Dongfang Xiong, Lung Yidao, and the others shouted that Ming Xian was not a remnant of the Black Dragon sect. Especially Lung Yidao. He and Lin Xian came from the same country, so he naturally knew how despicable the Black Dragon sect was. It was an evil force that had destroyed their country and sections. How could Lin Xian be a member of the Black Dragon sect? However, no matter how they explained, Venerable Scarlet Flame remained cold and did not react. Whether you are a remnant of the Black Dragon sect or not, I will know after I search your soul. After saying that, He stretched out a fiery red palm and grabbed at Lin Xian. Search his soul. Lin Xian's expression changed drastically. It was obvious that venerable Scarlet Flame did not intend to let him go. Old man, you've gone too far. He knew that the method of searching one's soul was extremely sinister. Anyone who had their soul searched would suffer great damage to their soul. Even if they were not affected, they would become mentally retarded. Lin Xian would not wait for death. In an instant, he died. 3 gale swords slashed into the void to resist the red palm that covered the sky. At the same time, he secretly used the devouring sword to devour all the terrifying attacks that were rushing towards him. However, venerable Scarlet Flame was too powerful. Even a casual attack was not something that Lin Xian could resist. Although he had the devouring sword, it was not complete. Moreover, he could not fully control it and could not use its full strength. Therefore, although he had devoured a portion of the damage, there were even more terrifying attacks that enveloped him. In the sky, the 3 heavenly swords only lasted for a moment before they were scattered by the giant palm. Seeing that the giant palm was about to fall, Lin Xian clenched his teeth. He was ready to use the devouring sword with all his strength and fight to the death. At this moment, a ray of light flashed and slashed at the giant palm. Boom! Countless terrifying black holes appeared in the sky. The giant palm was sent flying and the sky returned to normal. What? Someone sent the venerable Scarlet Flame's palm flying? Everyone was shocked. In the ancient city, venerable Scarlet Flame coldly snorted. He did not expect that a mere spirit transformation realm cultivator would cause such a commotion. Who is it? Come out. Venerable Scarlet Flame coldly shouted. To be able to send his attack flying, the other party must be a venerable realm cultivator. Could it be the Hall Master of the Black Dragon sect? If that was the case, then things would not be so simple. The Hall Master of the Black Dragon sect was definitely not alone. It was very likely that he had brought people to besiege them. If they were ambushed, it was very likely that an unexpected disaster would occur. Old man Scarlet Flame, your temper is still so fiery. You want to attack without even asking clearly? A cold snort sounded. Hearing this voice, everyone was even more puzzled. The person who came must have a great background. She was actually not afraid of venerable Scarlet Flame. In the ancient city, the 5 venerables heaved a sigh of relief because they knew that Long Rushuang had come. Venerable Scarlet Flame coldly snorted. Long Rushuang, have you recovered your strength? Almost. Why? Do you want to spar with me? Long Rushuang stepped on the air, bringing with her a huge pressure. Greetings, venerable Scarlet Flame. Everyone below shouted. Iron Arms and the others excitedly shouted, greeting the sect master. Sect master? The disciples of the Great Flag sect were shocked and then ecstatic. Chapter 487. They did not expect revered Lord Long to be their sect master. This was too shocking. Daki sect was only a 4-star sect, and their sect master was very mysterious. Usually, Taisho was in charge of everything. They even suspected that there was no sect master at all, or that the sect master had already passed away. However, they did not expect their sect master to appear today. Moreover, he was a venerable. That was the peak existence in the Tianan region. Greetings, senior. Thank you for your help, Lin Xian said gratefully. The situation just now was very dangerous. Even with his strength, it would be difficult for him to leave safely. Fortunately, revered Lord Long intervened. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Little friend Lin, you're too serious. You saved my life before. This is nothing. Lung Rushuang smiled. What? Lin Xian saved the venerable's life before? Everyone was stunned. Ever since Lin Xian used the black flames, news about him was like a bomb. Each news was more shocking than the last. Revered Lord Lung, don't think that you'll protect this brat just because he saved you. You should know that he's a remnant of the Black Dragon cult. Revered Lord Chihua snorted. You keep saying that I'm a remnant of the Black Dragon cult. What proof do you have? Lin Xian retorted. Although Long Rushuang was a venerable, he could not let her slander him. Brat, the Black Dragon's flame is exclusive to the Black Dragon cult's leader. How did you get it? You're not a spy of the Black Dragon cult. What? The Black Flames belong to the Black Dragon cult's leader? Is Lin Xian really a spy of the Black Dragon cult? Everyone was shocked. I was wondering what it was. So it's the Black Flames. Lung Rushuang chuckled. I know the origin of the flames. You know? Revered Lord Qihua was surprised. Of course, because the flames are the ones that were sucked from my body. Old man Qihua, have you forgotten that I was troubled by the Black Dragon's flame? What? The Black Dragon's flame is the ones on your body? Revered Lord Qihua was shocked. Revered Lord Green Lotus and the others were also surprised. However, while they were shocked, they were also delighted because they could finally prove Lin Xian's innocence. Since such a peerless genius was not a member of the Black Dragon sect, they would naturally nurture him with all their might. Lin Xian was also shocked. Only now did he know that it was the Black Dragon flame. It was actually the flame of the Black Dragon cult's leader. Who is this Black Dragon cult leader? What a terrifying flame. Could it be that the rumors are true? That the leader of the Black Dragon cult is really a Black Dragon? Lin Xian couldn't be sure for the time being, but he thought of something else. Back then, when he was fighting with the demonic man behind Yin Shan, the demonic man had used a type of white flame with terrifying power. Although the appearance was different, Lin Xian was certain that the aura was 70 to 80% similar to the Black Dragon flame. He guessed that the white flame was most likely modified by the Black Dragon flame. Coupled with the recent rumors about the remnants of the Black Dragon cult sneaking in, he had a bold guess in his heart. Although I am not a spy from the Black Dragon cult, I think I know who the spy is. Lin Xian's words caused a commotion in all directions. Even the Supremacies were shocked. Among them, Supremacy Blue Lotus asked, "Do you really know?" Supremacy Scarlet Flame sneered. He didn't believe Lin Xian's words. Lin Xian ignored Supremacy Scarlet Flame and nodded slightly at Supremacy Blue Lotus. I should be 80 to 90% sure. Who is it? Several Supremacies asked almost simultaneously. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and swept his gaze around. Everyone who was swept by his gaze felt their hearts beat wildly. Many warriors lowered their heads. They were the ones who had mocked and ridiculed Lin Xian just now. They thought that Lin Xian was dead for sure, but they didn't expect that he would suddenly make a comeback. Now, they didn't dare to provoke Lin Xian. Lin Xian was too lazy to pay attention to those clowns. His gaze turned and finally fixed on Yin Shan. Indeed, it was Yin Shan's thick white wrap. Yin Shan's heart skipped a beat. In an instant, he had the urge to run away. However, in the face of so many supremacies, there was no way he could escape. Sir, what should I do? Yin Shan asked the demonic man behind him. Don't worry, he doesn't have any evidence. As long as you don't admit it, he can't do anything to you, the demonic man replied. Hearing this, Yin Shan was finally relieved. However, he didn't know that traces of white flames had entered his body. The situation was very strange. Those white flames had completely fooled his senses. Kid, why are you looking at me? Do you think I'm a spy from the Black Dragon cult? Yin Shan sneered. Correct. You are a spy from the Black Dragon cult. Lin Xian's lips curled up. Everyone was shocked. They all jumped up and distanced themselves from Yin Shan, afraid that he would be implicated. The disciples of Marionette's sect were furious. The spirit-detecting realm leader snorted. Although our puppet supremacy isn't here, it doesn't mean that our Marionette sect can be suspected by others. I didn't mean to suspect you. Lin Xian shrugged. I didn't say that Marionette sect is a spy from the Black Dragon cult. It's just that Yin Shan and the living puppet behind him are very suspicious. Do you dare to use your head to guarantee that Yin Shan and the puppet behind him are innocent? Hearing this, the spirit-detecting realm leader of Marionette sect fell silent. To be honest, as an elder of Marionette sect, he had never seen the puppet behind Yin Shan. He had never even heard of a puppet that had a will of its own. Do you dare? Lin Xian looked at the other disciples of Marionette sect. Those disciples also fell silent. Suddenly, everyone was shocked. Even the people of Marionette sect couldn't guarantee Yin Shan's innocence. It seemed that Yin Shan was very suspicious. Yin Shan's eyelids twitched. He didn't expect the sect to not protect him at this time. You're slandering me. I'm one of the four great prodigies. How can I be a spy from the Black Dragon cult? Yin Shan roared. The world is unpredictable. Who can say for sure? Maybe you weren't a spy from the Black Dragon cult before, but you can't say for sure now. Lin Xian sneered. For example, you were one of the four great prodigies before, but you're not anymore. Hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. Slander. I'll fight you to the death. Yin Shan grabbed the white bandage on his back and threw it forward. In an instant, the white bandage arrived in front of him. Under Yin Shan's control, the white bandage quickly fell off, revealing the scene inside. However, the situation wasn't as everyone expected. The demonic man didn't appear. Instead, a ball of black flames appeared. You still want to resist? Lin Xian sneered. What? Black dragon flame? It's the black dragon flame again. Everyone was shocked and retreated in fear. The five sovereigns were also shocked. They were finally sure that Yin Shan was a spy from the Black Dragon cult. Sovereign Red Flame waved his hand again, grabbing at Yin Shan. Lord, save me! Yin Shan shouted in fear. He couldn't withstand the pressure of a sovereign. Chapter 488. However, no matter how much he screamed, the demonic man did not appear. However, more black flames came out of his body as if they wanted to burn everything. The golden armor on his body was wrapped in a strange flame and quickly sank into the ground. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Leave behind the true dragon chi. High Lord Scarlet Flame snorted. He clapped his hands, and a terrifying flame jumped. However, the black flame seemed to be of a high grade. It completely ignored High Lord Scarlet Flame's attack and quickly left with the golden armor. High Lord's sword snorted and slashed down with a shocking sword chi, instantly cutting the golden armor. The other High Lords also attacked. However, the flame was very decisive. It gave up on the broken golden armor and quickly disappeared with a portion of the true dragon chi. Yin Shan, who was in the crowd, was wrapped in the black dragon flame and instantly burned to ashes. Looking at the ashes, everyone felt a chill. The black flame was too terrifying. Even a prodigy could not resist it. For a moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian with deep respect because Lin Xian had such a terrifying flame. Yin Shan's death caused a huge commotion. However, what was more shocking was his identity. He was actually killed by a spy of the Black Dragon cult. Could Marionette sect have also joined the Black Dragon cult? The five High Lords looked at Marionette sect. High Lord Scarlet Flame's expression was cold. No, it has nothing to do with us. We don't know anything. The spirit-detecting realm martial artist said with a trembling voice. The other disciples also shook their heads to show that they did not know. Forget it. They really don't know. High Lord Green Lotus sighed. After the Azure Dragon Association is over, we will go and meet Old Man Puppet. At that time, everything about the puppets will be clear. The storm temporarily passed, and the competition returned to normal. High Lord Long came to the ancient city and smiled as she watched Lin Xian's competition. In the arena, Lin Xian condensed a strand of black flame and wrapped it around the Wind Shadow sword. Opposite him, Zhou Jianying had a serious expression. She had already seen the power of the black flame. It could easily burn a prodigy to death. However, she also keenly sensed that although Lin Xian also had the black dragon flame in his hand, it was difficult to use its full power. He should be able to resist it. Let's give it a try. Zhou Jianying raised his sword. Her great accomplishment sword will gushed out, and she slashed out with her sword. She did not hold back at all and attacked with all her might. The terrifying sword energy could even injure a spirit-channeling realm martial artist. Lin Xian also made his move. His sword chi fused with the black dragon's flames, greatly increasing its power. As soon as they came into contact, the black dragon flame quickly burned away the opponent's sword chi. At the same time, the Great Success Sword Intent also cut down the black dragon flame in a fierce manner. The two forces clashed, but in the end, the black dragon flame won. Seeing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The black dragon's eye was indeed terrifying. It could even destroy a Greater Success Sword Intent. Lin Xian's attack succeeded, and he continued to stab out with his sword. Countless sword chi rushed towards Zhou Jianying. In the next moment, the black dragon flames arrived in front of her, emitting a terrifying energy. The heavenly evil sword trembled and emitted endless light, as if it could not withstand the terrifying heat. Zhou Jianying used all her strength to push her great success sword will and slashed in all directions. However, Lin Xian's 8th-level sword intent, combined with the black dragon's flames, did indeed surpass the great success sword intent. Helplessly, she could only admit defeat. Otherwise, the heavenly evil sword would be burned to pieces. For a swordsman, as long as the sword existed, the person existed. Zhou Jianying naturally would not allow her treasured sword to break. Therefore, she chose to admit defeat. Lin Xian retracted the black dragon flame. The true dragon chi in his body surged, and he once again rose to 80 feet. He continued to challenge the prodigies, and finally rose to 2nd place, second only to Infinite Dominion. Infinite Dominion smiled, and the battle intent in his eyes grew stronger. His body emitted an aura that looked down on the world, and he stared at Lin Xian. Very good. Finally, a powerful martial artist has appeared. I hope you won't disappoint me. Even when Lin Xian used the black dragon flame, he did not have a trace of fear. Instead, he was in high spirits. This was a martial artist who cultivated the hegemonic chi of heaven and earth. His entire body was filled with a domineering aura, and he did not put anyone or anything in his eyes. You must be tired from the consecutive battles. We will fight again in the next round. Infinite Dominion said. Okay. Lin Xian nodded and replied. He indeed needed to rest. The battle with Yin Shan was still okay, but the battle with Zhou Jianying had consumed too much of his energy. Moreover, there were supremacies fighting in the middle, which made his nerves tense to the extreme. He really needed a good rest now. Walking down the arena, Lin Xian sat cross-legged and quickly adjusted his breathing. The crowd around him left, leaving an empty space. This was respect and reverence for him. Until now, no one dared to underestimate Lin Xian. He was definitely the biggest dark horse in the Azure Dragon meet in the past 1,000 years. He had fought his way to 2nd place from a nobody. Next, he would fight with Infinite Dominion to become the leader of the final prodigies. Just thinking about it made people excited. In the 2nd round, Infinite Dominion still did not challenge anyone. Soon, the 3rd round began. Everyone gave it their all, using their trump cards and fighting with all their might. This was the last round. If they missed it, they would not have another chance. Lung Adao's saber intent soared to the sky, and his moves were bold. He fought his way to 17th place. Zhao Shui's illusions were unparalleled. His illusions were not weaker than Yu Yan's. In the end, he was also ranked 15th. Dongfang Xiong was even more impressive. The bloodline power in his body surged, and a golden shadow shone behind him, as if he had come from the ancient times. A pair of golden fists swept around, and in the end, he was ranked 10th. These 3 people's results were extremely rare in the past 100 years. Zhou Jianying lost to Lin Xian and was ranked 4th. Then, she challenged Prince Heavenly Flame and regained her 3rd place. Prince Heavenly Flame was extremely angry. Not only did his ranking not improve, but it also dropped. However, the first few rounds were indeed terrifying, and he was not confident. He looked at Lin Xian several times, but when he thought of the black flame, he held back and did not challenge him. In the end, almost everyone's battles ended, and their rankings stabilized. At this time, they all looked at Lin Xian and Infinite Dominion. They were all looking forward to the final battle. Who do you think will win? Someone asked. It's hard to say. It should be Infinite Dominion, but Lin Xian's black dragon flame is too terrifying. It can even burn a green onion. I don't know if Infinite Dominion can withstand it. I thought that there was no doubt about who would be the champion. I didn't expect that it would be uncertain now. That's right. I'm afraid this is the biggest suspense in this competition. Although the black dragon flame is terrifying, Lin Xian has absorbed too little, and he can't use his full strength. I think Infinite Dominion should be able to withstand it. Indeed, we still don't know how strong Infinite Dominion is. After all, he has always ended his battles in one move. Everyone was looking forward to it, and they couldn't wait for the two to fight. The two of them did not delay and quickly went up. Chapter 489. Lin Xian's sword intent was monstrous. The power of the 80% Great Dragon sword intent was infinitely close to that of an ordinary greater success sword intent. Moreover, there was a trace of terrifying flames dancing within it. Opposite him, Infinite Tyrant stood with his hands behind his back, exuding a domineering aura. It was like a tall mountain that one could only look up at, and its aura became stronger and stronger as time passed. In the end, it surged forward like a wave. When the domineering aura collided with the sword intent, there was a sizzling sound. When the two collided, the domineering aura was pierced, and a hole appeared. Not bad, not bad. You can actually resist my domineering aura. You deserve to be treated seriously. Infinite Tyrant's eyes shone brightly like two divine lamps. In the next moment, the aura on his body rose infinitely, like a mountain without a peak, breaking through the clouds, raising the domineering aura all over his body to the extreme. Infinite Tyrant roared and used the domineering fist of heaven and earth. With a punch, an incomparably domineering fist condensed between heaven and earth and blasted towards Lin Xian. Wherever it passed, the air shattered. In an instant, Lin Xian felt the air around him tighten, like a cage enveloping him. Before the fist arrived, the terrifying fist wind had already torn apart Lin Xian's defense. As expected of Infinite Tyrant, a casual punch was filled with endless domineering aura. Sword intent bloomed in his eyes, and Lin Xian slashed out with his sword. The 80% sword intent surged, and the black dragon flame was contained within. Black flame sword slash. The black dragon flame surged out of the huge sword chi, whistling in the air, and quickly slashed on the huge fist. In an instant, the domineering fist was torn apart by the great dragon sword intent, and then the black dragon flame drilled into it, burning rapidly. Suddenly, the violent fist cracked and dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye. The black dragon flame was extremely terrifying. Even a venerable would have a headache, let alone a fist. Oomph! Infinite Tyrant snorted coldly and waved his fist again. The cracked fist emitted an endless domineering aura. The aura contained an unimaginable power that counterattacked the black dragon flame. Then, Infinite Tyrant roared into the sky, and an earth-shaking aura surged out of his body. He walked towards Lin Xian like an overlord. With every step he took, the ground cracked open, and countless terrifying craters appeared. Lin Xian's body trembled. As Infinite Tyrant moved, he felt the pressure on his body grow stronger and stronger, as if 100,000 mountains were pressing down on him. This is bloodline power. Lin Xian frowned. The reason why Infinite Tyrant was so strong was that other than the hegemonic chi of heaven and earth technique, he was also a bloodline inheritor. The overlord bloodline in his body was abnormally powerful. Combined with the hegemonic chi of heaven and earth technique, he was able to unleash this tyrannical power to the extreme. I have to end this quickly. Lin Xian made up his mind. Such a battle maniac would definitely become stronger the more he fought, so Lin Xian did not intend to waste too much time on him. Raise the flames and burn the heavens. Lin Xian slashed out with his sword. Black dragon flames surged along with the sword chi. The flames danced and covered everything. The void distorted as if it would shatter at any moment. The appearance of the black dragon flames broke the tyrannical aura, and the space around Lin Xian slowed down. Then, he attacked again. This time, on the wind shadow sword, the golden lightning and black dragon flames quickly fused, intertwining to form a black-gold energy ball. Thunderfire annihilation. This was the first time he had fused the power of lightning and fire. He had simulated this move thousands of times in his mind, so it was natural for him to use it with ease. The Thunderfire energy ball accompanied the wind shadow sword and instantly rushed towards Infinite Tyrant. Boom! Infinite Tyrant stomped his foot, and his body shot out like a meteor. After images appeared in the sky as he quickly rushed towards Lin Xian. The ground cracked, and the surrounding air was mercilessly torn apart. He was like a huge mountain, rampaging through everything. Not only was he violent, but he was also extremely fast. With this move, not only did he avoid the Thunderfire energy ball, but he also blocked Lin Xian's path. However, Lin Xian's Thunderfire Energy Ball was a killing move. It was not so easy to dodge. Under his control, the Thunderfire Energy Ball drew a strange arc as it quickly chased after Infinite Tyrant. However, Infinite Tyrant did not care. He instantly appeared in front of Lin Xian and quickly threw a punch. The violent fist tore through space and landed on Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian quickly used the Golden Lightning Body to protect his vitals. At the same time, he also used the Illusory Demon Steps to retreat. Even so, he was still grazed by Infinite Tyrant's fist. It felt like a mountain had crashed into his body, causing his blood to churn and his bones to almost fall apart. No wonder he was the leader of the four prodigies. The strength of this punch was too great. Even a spirit-detecting realm martial artist would not be able to take it. Fortunately, Lin Xian had the Golden Lightning Body, so his defense was strong. In addition, he also had extreme speed, so he was barely able to withstand this punch. Although Infinite Tyrant's punch injured Lin Xian, the Thunderfire Energy Ball caught up to him. Boom! The void trembled, and a terrifying energy enveloped the surroundings. Heaven and earth lost their color as the Thunderfire energy spread. Not good. This energy is too terrifying. Infinite Tyrant might not be able to withstand it. Everyone looked over worriedly. The next moment, a golden light appeared in the terrifying energy ball and tore through the sky. Infinite Tyrant roared angrily and attacked with his spear, instantly blasting away the Thunderfire energy. He rushed out with his spear in hand, looking down on everyone like a peerless overlord. Come, let's fight to our heart's content. Lin Xian also rose into the sky. He held the Wind Shadow Sword in his hand, and sword intent surged from his body. He was like a sword god reborn. The two prodigies faced each other and quickly charged at each other. Spear light filled the air, and sword chi filled the air. The two of them fought fiercely. Every attack could easily kill a spirit transformation realm martial artist. The two of them attacked with all their might and quickly dodged at the same time. Their speed was extremely fast. However, as time passed, Infinite Tyrant became more and more courageous. The violent aura on his body was extremely powerful, as if he was looking down on the world. Lin Xian is in danger. Infinite Tyrant has already activated the Tyrant Chi technique to the limit. Coupled with his overlord bloodline, even a spirit-detecting realm martial artist might not be able to take him down. Yeah, we have to end this quickly. The longer we drag it out, the more dangerous it will be. Lin Xian knew this as well. In fact, he had planned to end the battle as soon as possible. However, Infinite Tyrant's strength was far beyond his imagination. It wasn't until this battle that he realized that Infinite Tyrant's strength was far beyond his peers. No one except him could compete with him in this battle. Even Zhou Jinying might not be able to. Lin Xian, you're going to lose. Infinite Tyrant laughed loudly. He held his spear with one hand and stabbed out quickly. The sky was filled with spear shadows, and the terrifying spear transformed into a roaring dragon. That might not be the case. Lin Xian stabbed out with his sword and split the golden spear light. Then, a look of determination appeared in his eyes, and the last bit of true dragon chi in his body quickly circulated under his control. He had refined it for a long time, but he had only refined this bit of true dragon chi. The rest of the true dragon chi was stored in his battle suit and could not be used at all. Now that he was using this bit of true dragon chi to deal with Infinite Tyrant, it showed his determination to end this battle quickly. This time, he had to succeed in one strike. Chapter 490. If Lin Xian's single attack was the strongest, it would definitely be Meteor from Outer Skies. Not only was it fast, but it was also very powerful. Combined with the true dragon chi, he should be able to defeat Infinite Tyrant. Thinking of this, he quickly circulated the spirit energy in his body. Then, he mobilized all the energy in his body, including the power of wind, lightning, the black dragon flame, and the great dragon sword intent, as well as the true dragon chi. All these energies were combined and shot out together with falling stars. This sword could already kill a spirit-detecting realm martial artist. In the sky, a bright sword light lit up, becoming the only thing in the world. Infinite Tyrant was shocked. This was the first time he felt a threat to his life. It was an instinctive reaction. Glaring, he also used his strongest attack, Overlord Stance, Annihilating Spear. The golden spear turned into a golden dragon under his control and charged at Lin Xian. Bang! There was a loud sound, and then everyone lost their hearing. Endless light lit up in front of them. They lost their hearing and sight, and couldn't sense anything. Only their bodies kept trembling. This scene lasted for a long time before slowly dissipating. When the dust settled, Infinite Tyrant stood proudly. His huge body emitted a domineering aura. One man and one spear, standing like an overlord. On the opposite side, Lin Xian also stood with a sword. However, there was a bloody hole in his abdomen. That was caused by the overlord's spear. He had the powerful golden lightning body, but he still couldn't block that stunning spear. Lin Xian is injured. Looks like the outcome has been decided. As expected of Infinite Tyrant, even with such a powerful black dragon flame, he can still defeat Lin Xian. Looks like no one in the younger generation can beat him. Everyone discussed. On the ancient city, the 6 sovereigns nodded slightly. This scene was similar to what they expected. Even though he lost, it's still an honorable defeat. Losing to Infinite Tyrant isn't something to be ashamed of. Lin Xian's mouth twitched. He quickly used the longevity art to stop the bleeding and used Golden Lightning Body to repair his body. On the opposite side, Infinite Tyrant stood with his spear, his expression cold. The scene was silent and a bit strange. What's going on? Aren't you already injured? Why aren't you admitting defeat? No way. Could it be that Lin Xian still wants to fight? But he still can't beat Infinite Domination. No one understood. Infinite Tyrant's brows furrowed slightly, forming a Chuan character in the end. His firm and resolute face suddenly flushed red. Finally, his body trembled slightly, as if he was trying to suppress something. However, in the next moment, he involuntarily bent over and spat out a mouthful of blood. What's going on? Even Infinite Tyrant is injured? How is this possible? Everyone was stunned. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian had been injured by Ba Wuji, and that victory had already been decided. However, Infinite Tyrant suddenly coughed up a large mouthful of blood. From the looks of it, his injuries were even more severe than Lin Xian's. What kind of injury did you suffer? There aren't any sword marks on his body. Everyone looked over, but they didn't find anything. Zhou Jianying and Prince Heavenly Flame were even more shocked. They knew how powerful Infinite Tyrant was. He was an existence that could crush a generation's geniuses. However, they didn't expect such a person to be injured by Lin Xian. Regardless of whether Lin Xian could win, being able to injure Infinite Tyrant was enough for him to be proud. In the ancient city, the 6 sovereigns were also shocked. Lin Xian had once again exceeded their expectations. To be honest, although they were shocked that Lin Xian had used the Black Dragon Flames to defeat Zhou Jianying, they could still accept it, because the Black Dragon Flames were an extraordinary existence. However, even with such flames, it was impossible to defeat Infinite Tyrant, unless he had another trump card. But what was it? These sovereigns didn't know. You can actually break my Overlord stance. How did you do it? Infinite Tyrant's body trembled slightly. He didn't believe that no one had ever broken his Overlord stance. One had to know that the Overlord stance was the strongest defensive stance in the hegemonic chi of heaven and earth technique. Once it was used, even an early-stage spirit-detecting realm martial artist would find it difficult to break through. With such a strong defense, coupled with the Annihilation Spear, it could be said that no one could block it. However, he didn't expect to make a mistake this time. Although the Annihilation Spear had injured Lin Xian, it hadn't caused any fatal injuries. Instead, his Overlord stance had been broken, and he had suffered serious internal injuries. Right now, he looked fine, but the spirit energy in his body was very chaotic and he couldn't use it at all. Lin Xian didn't answer Infinite Tyrant. Instead, he slowly walked forward with his sword. With every step, the sword intent on his body became stronger. In the end, he was like a god of death. He raised the Wind Shadow Sword and pressed it against Infinite Tyrant's throat. "You've lost," Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Everyone was shocked. This scene was too shocking. The leader of the prodigies, Infinite Tyrant, had a sword pressed against his throat and was forced to admit defeat. Even the sovereign's mouths twitched. There was nothing they could do. This scene was too surreal. However, what was even more shocking was that Infinite Tyrant didn't resist. With his arrogant personality, he definitely wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. There was only one explanation for his lack of resistance. He couldn't resist at all. Could it be that Infinite Tyrant has suffered serious internal injuries and can't move? Everyone guessed. Very quickly, this idea was accepted. This was the only reasonable explanation. Infinite Tyrant was unwilling. His bell-like eyes opened wide as if they were about to spit fire. However, no matter how angry he was, he couldn't suppress the chaotic spirit energy in his body. He could only watch as Lin Xian pressed his sword against his throat. He had lost, but he was unwilling to admit defeat. His pride prevented him from saying the words "admit defeat." Lin Xian put away his sword and sighed. Indeed, Infinite Tyrant was an opponent worthy of respect. If he hadn't refined a strand of true dragon qi and sent it into Infinite Tyrant's body at the most crucial moment, disrupting his spirit energy and preventing him from using his strength, it would have been very difficult for him to win. But no matter what, he had won. Turning his head slightly, Lin Xian said to the judge beside him, "Senior, you can announce the result?" The spirit detecting realm judge sighed. The result was very clear. Lin Xian had won. Taking a deep breath, he said loudly, "The result of the competition is Lin Xian's victory. Congratulations to Lin Xian for winning all the battles and becoming the champion of the Azure Dragon Society." Everyone was shocked. After a long silence, they erupted into a heaven-shaking roar. A dark horse. He was definitely the biggest dark horse in the Azure Dragon Society in 1,000 years. He had fought his way from being unknown to first place and ascended to the throne. At this moment, Lin Xian had become everyone's idol. He fought hard, didn't fear the prodigies, and finally became the champion. The million spectators cheered wildly. Their voices were like waves, louder and louder. Lin Xian smiled as he looked around, enjoying this moment of victory. The 5-colored armor on his body glowed, and the true dragon qi on it increased to 90 feet. The 90 feet true dragon qi condensed, forming a true dragon bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws. It circled around Lin Xian, making him look extraordinarily mighty. Chapter 491. The group of beautiful martial artists below screamed. Their faces flushed red. "Lin Xian! Lin Xian!" Orderly shouts rang out, resounding through the clouds. Lin Xian closed his eyes and felt the true dragon qi. Soon, he seemed to have crossed time and space and felt the existence of the great dragon sword again. Lost place, Azure Dragon Sacred Hall. Lin Xian muttered in his heart. He finally knew where the great dragon sword was. At the same time, he also found a way to enter the lost place. That was to use the true dragon qi. When the true dragon qi was in charge of his body, he could sense the lost place and directly teleport there. There was only one chance. If he missed it, he would have to wait for the next Azure Dragon assembly 10 years later. Lin Xian took a deep breath and thought about it in his mind. He found that there should be no problem. When the time came, the 72 true dragon geniuses would receive the baptism of the true dragon qi. He only needed to use the true dragon qi to sense the great dragon sword and teleport there. "I can finally get the great dragon sword." Lin Xian clenched his fists. Looking at Lin Xian's voice, the martial artists below all had different expressions. Endless Tyrant's eyes were filled with unwillingness. He wanted to fight another 300 rounds. Zhou Jianying and Prince Heavenly Flame were silent. Zhao Shui, Yi Daolong, Dongfang Xiong and the rest were all smiling. Especially Zhao Shui, her beautiful eyes were fixed on Lin Xian. On the spectator stand, Iron Arms was slightly stunned. He had never dreamed of this scene. At the beginning, he only wanted to let Lin Xian gain some experience. He did not expect Lin Xian to reach the throne. Everyone looked up. This scene was deeply imprinted in their hearts. Many years later, Lin Xian would become a legend in the Tianan region soon. Under the restoration of the true dragon qi, the super arena was restored to its original state. The first 72 Azure Dragon Geniuses went up the stage to receive the baptism of the true Dragon Chi. The 72 martial artists were excited as they jumped up the stage. As long as they received the baptism of the true Dragon Chi, their bodies would be greatly improved. Their martial path would be smoother in the future. This was the benefit of the true Dragon Chi. It was also the reason why everyone wanted to fight for the true Dragon Chi. The more true Dragon Chi he obtained, the greater the changes in his body would be, and the further he would go on the path of martial arts in the future. In addition, the martial artist sect would also receive inexplicable luck. Therefore, all the disciples of the Great Flag sect went crazy. Venerable Lord Long was also smiling. Lin Xian stood at the very front. True Dragon Chi circled around his body, making him look extraordinarily mighty, like a sword god descending to the world. He waited patiently, waiting for the baptism of the true Dragon Chi. However, at this moment, the sky suddenly darkened, and a huge shadow covered the ancient Azure Dragon City. Everyone was shocked and raised their heads to look. Lin Xian also raised his head, only to see a huge shadow above the ancient city, slowly covering the sun. From the shape of the shadow, it could be seen that it was a strange bird with a huge head. It was a few hundred meters long, and when it spread its wings, it blocked the sun like a dark cloud. The huge black shadow flapped its wings and rushed down quickly. Who is it? Is the Black Dragon sect about to attack? Everyone panicked. On the ancient city, the 6 venerable lords frowned. They sensed that the newcomers were not from the Black Dragon sect, but 3 young men. Venerable Red Flame snorted and was about to attack, but he was stopped by Venerable Green Lotus. Their aura is a little unusual. Don't attack first. Let's observe the situation first. The huge, strange bird spread its wings and slowly descended a few hundred meters above the ground. At this moment, everyone realized that there were 3 figures on the back of the huge bird. There were 2 men and 1 woman, and they looked very arrogant. Their auras were abnormally terrifying, not inferior to the 4 great prodigies at all. Especially the young man in the middle. His aura was even more terrifying. Although he did not deliberately show it, everyone could still feel it. The 3 mysterious martial artists quickly scanned the crowd and finally locked their eyes on the ancient Azure Dragon prodigy. Everyone who was swept by the gaze froze. What a terrifying gaze. Who are these people? What are they doing? Everyone was shocked and did not dare to move. Soon, the 3 of them locked onto Lin Xian. There's no mistake about his appearance, and there's still the aura of the sacred bird on him. That's right, it's him. Then, the young man in a blood-red robe on the right walked out and pointed with his finger. A ray of light appeared on the tip of his finger and spun rapidly, containing a terrifying amount of heat. A purple ray of light flew out and rushed toward Lin Xian. The power of this finger was abnormally strong. It was at least as strong as the 4 great prodigies. Feeling the attack of the purple ray, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Although this move was not much of a threat to him, the opponent's arrogant aura and ruthless attitude made him frown. His expression was cold. He put his finger together and drew a ray of sword chi, which he quickly slashed out. Chi. The purple ray of light was cut open and disappeared in the air. Not bad. You have some strength. No wonder you're so bold to kill the successor of the sacred bird. The young man said condescendingly, How dare you? Which junior dares to cause trouble here? Get out of here. The judge of the spirit detecting realm shouted angrily. Who dares to stop our divine bird palace from doing things? The young man said arrogantly. Divine bird palace? Everyone was confused. The divine bird palace was not among the top forces in the Tianan region. Are these people from outside the region? Even Overlord Wuji and the others frowned. They had never heard of the divine bird palace. However, the 6 venerables on the ancient city changed their expressions greatly. Divine bird palace? Are they from the Tianwu region? Are you from the divine bird palace of the Tianwu region? One of the venerables asked. At least you have some knowledge. The young man snorted. He was very arrogant and did not take the venerables seriously at all. The venerable's expression suddenly became gloomy, and his aura fluctuated. However, he restrained himself in the end. He only snorted coldly and did not attack. Everyone was shocked that the venerables could endure such humiliation. Was the divine bird palace really so terrifying? Even the venerables did not dare to go against them. Heavens, what did Lin Xian do to cause such a terrifying force to hunt him down? At this time, Venerable's Blue Lotus asked in a deep voice, "What business do the three of you have in the Tianan region?" The successor of the sacred bird of our divine bird palace was training in the Tianan region. We did not expect him to be killed. This time, we are here to capture the murderer and make him admit his guilt. The blood-robed young man, Hua Shui, said coldly. What? The successor of the sacred bird of the divine bird palace died in the Tianan region. The 6 venerables were shocked. They had high cultivation and wide knowledge, so they knew how terrifying this matter was. The divine bird palace was a powerful force in the Tianwu region. Its strength had reached the level of a 6-star sect, and it could completely crush the entire Tianan region. Although the Martial Alliance was an overlord in the Tianan region, if they encountered the divine bird palace, they would be destroyed very quickly. The successor of the divine bird palace was the focus of the divine bird palace. If such a person was killed in the Tianan region, the divine bird palace would not let it go. Who is the murderer? Him. Hua Shui pointed down. The person he was pointing at was Lin Xian. Chapter 492. The venerables were stunned and showed complicated expressions. Everyone exclaimed. They didn't expect the murderer to be Lin Xian. Is there a misunderstanding? Venerable Blue Lotus asked. No, we've investigated thoroughly. According to the information we received, he's the murderer. We don't need you to do anything. You just need to watch quietly. However, I'm warning you, if anyone dares to stop us, you'll be an enemy of the Divine Bird Palace. You can't bear the consequences of angering the Divine Bird Palace. Hua Shui warned. The venerables were silent, then quickly communicated with each other through their souls. Lin Xian was extremely talented and had a promising future. If he was properly trained, he could definitely reach the venerable realm. Such a person was too important to the Tianan region. However, he had offended a superforce like the Divine Bird Palace. If he didn't handle it well and angered the Divine Bird Palace, it would be a disaster. At that time, the Tianan region would be plunged into disaster even without the Black Dragon sect. Therefore, everyone was caught in a dilemma. Lin Xian knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't expect these venerables to do it. Soon, he sent a voice transmission to Venerable Long, telling her not to do it. Then, Lin Xian slowly lifted his head with a cold smile on his face. Is the descendant of the divine bird you're talking about the 3-headed crimson blood bird? If it's him, then yes, I killed him. Lin Xian didn't regret it. If he hadn't killed the other party, they would have killed him. In the face of life and death, he would naturally kill. If he could go back in time, even if he knew the other party's identity, he would still do the same. You admit it so readily. Come with us obediently, and I promise to leave your corpse intact when the time comes. Go with you? Intact? Lin Xian laughed. It seems that you're quite confident. Do you think you can defeat me? You're courting death. Hua Shui shouted coldly. Don't be proud of being a genius of the Azure Dragon sect. Let me tell you, people like you are not even ants in the Tianwu region. One more thing, don't try to escape, or I'll kill everyone related to you. Hearing this, everyone's heart trembled. The Divine Bird Palace's method was too vicious. Not only did they want to kill Lin Xian, but they also wanted to kill everyone related to him. This method was more like a cult than the Black Dragon sect. Lin Xian's face darkened. It didn't matter if they wanted to kill him, but if they hurt the people around him, he would never forgive them. His people were frozen in Xia country. The only people who were related to him were his friends, such as Zhao Shui and Dongfang Xiong. If they wanted to kill them, he wouldn't be able to stop them. Lin Xian had no choice but to seek help from Venerable Lord Long. Soon, these venerables agreed to protect them. After all, Zhao Shui and the others were also peerless geniuses. If they were to grow up, it was very likely that they would reach the level of an honorable. Lin Xian was relieved with the assurance of the venerable ones. Teat, the Mies, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. His voice was filled with killing intent. The dragon's sword will on his body soared to the sky, as if it was going to split the sky. So what? An ant like you can't negotiate with us. No one in the entire Tianan region dares to go against us, let alone you. Do you think you're geniuses? Let me tell you, you're not even insects in my eyes. Hua Shui sneered. Hearing this, the green dragon geniuses below were furious, especially Infinite Tyrant, Prince Heavenly Flame, and the others. Their eyes were burning with anger. They were peerless geniuses, the top of the younger generation in the Tianan region. They grew up with the halo of geniuses. How could they tolerate such insults? Humph, who are you calling an ant? Prince Heavenly Flame snorted. Behind him, the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram roared. In this year's Green Dragon Society, his ranking had dropped by 1 place. He was already depressed. Now that someone dared to call him trash, he couldn't stand it. I'm not convinced. Hua Shui stepped in the air. Use all your moves. I'll let you know what a real genius is. 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram. Suppress. Prince Heavenly Flame roared. Behind him, 8 fire dragons intertwined, forming a mysterious flame diagram that covered the sky. A fire-based martial artist and an earth-grade martial art? Hua Shui was slightly surprised. Then he sneered. A good earth-grade martial art is wasted in your hands. Let me show you what a real flame is. He stretched out his index finger, and a purple flame appeared on his fingertip. Then, the flame formed a fist-sized energy ball and flew down quickly. Boom! The purple flame hit the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram and tore it apart. What? Everyone was surprised that the 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram was destroyed in 1 hit. That purple flame is too terrifying. This person is at least as strong as Infinite Tyrant. I don't know if he's an elite disciple or an ordinary disciple. If he's an ordinary disciple, then the Divine Bird Palace is too powerful. I don't know if he's an ordinary disciple, but the other two's aura are stronger than him. Look at the young man in the black robe in the middle. His aura is too terrifying. Everyone was frightened. They thought that the 4 geniuses were the strongest, but they didn't expect these 3 to be so powerful. They weren't any weaker than the geniuses. It seems that Lin Xian is in danger this time. The 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon diagram was destroyed. Prince Heavenly Flame was shocked and angry, and his handsome face instantly turned red. 8 Desolation Flaming Dragon, burn the world. Prince Heavenly Flame roared unwillingly. He waved his fists and a terrifying flame rose up into the sky. Humph, you can't even withstand a single blow. Hua Shui snorted. The purple flame intertwined between his fingers, forming a small lotus. With a wave of his hand, the lotus floated down and burned everything. Prince Heavenly Flame was severely injured after his strongest attack was destroyed. He kept retreating and spitting out blood. He was frightened. Judging from these 2 moves, his opponent's strength was definitely not below Infinite Tyrant's. Humph, what a bullshit genius. The Sky Martial region is the holy land of martial arts. How dare you call yourself a genius in such a remote place like the South Sky region? You're just a frog in a well. Interesting. Let me deal with you. Infinite Tyrant stood out, exuding a domineering aura, domineering fist of heavens and earth. With a punch, the wind and clouds changed. Hua Shui's face turned solemn. This aura was enough to threaten him. He waved his hand, and the purple flame on it jumped, forming a huge purple flame palm that slammed down. Boom! The fist and palm collided, creating a shocking roar. Destructive spear. After the first attack, Infinite Tyrant attacked again. He waved his long spear like a dragon. A golden light pierced through the clouds and quickly hit Hua Shui, sending him flying. Humph, you're just SOSO. What right do you have to laugh at us? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.